Scott Bucher dinner here.
Yes, Scott Bucher. He took care of us again tonight, didn't he?
He did.
He's been threatening us all night long about sending his food. Hey, everybody, welcome to Tackle Shop Confessions here at Island Fishing Tackle in the beautiful city of Carson, California.
Sure it's going?
Well, I hope so. Should be. I'm going to assume it is because I can hear it on this computer here, which is going to screw me all up. Yeah, it looks good. All right, so
All right, man.
we're good. Sam, do you have the questions there so we can read them there? Because I'm all screwed up here right
let
now.
me get the door.
Hey, everybody, it's great to be with you. We've got breaking news on the bluefin tuna bite out of San Diego. I'll have all of that for you in a moment. Of course, Sam's going to be running around here as usual, answering your questions and making sure that all of your needs are taken care of. So I'm looking forward to that. And then, Sam, I mean, it's been kind of an incredible day. We've been getting so much feedback from the thousands of people who are watching this show right now. But we get a letter from a gentleman by the name of Ken Herbert from Missouri.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Super cool, man.
And he comes out here and fishes back-to-back multi-day trips.
Yeah.
So, hey, Ken, we're going to be answering your question that you sent us, but want to thank you very much for taking the time to send Sam and I a note. We really appreciate it, right?
Yeah, pretty awesome.
And then you had a young lady come in here today.
Yeah.
Star.
Star, yes.
What was that all about?
So she's got a trip tomorrow on the Legend. Going to go be tuna hunting. And she's been down there before. She has some friends in town, and so she decided to want to make a stop at a good tackle shop. So she said because she was watching the show, she wanted to come down and check see what it's all about. Yeah, so
That's
it's pretty
great.
cool.
Yeah.
We helped her get rigged up. She brought in 3 or 4 rods and reels. We made sure that they were all properly set up, and so she left, feeling like she's ready to go.
That's awesome. And then also there was a gentleman on our YouTube channel who asked how to rig a Mad Mac. We got that all ready to go.
Yep.
So we're ready to rock and roll on that. Travis Bright, who is a great guy, says, good evening, guys. Travis, always great to see you. David Rosenthal, who does such a great job on Facebook with his long-range page. David, great to see you. Dan Smith says, hello, Sam the Man and Phil, and all of the great folks at the Friedman Adventures family. Emilio Escobar, que pasa? David Jimenez says hello. 1911, Nate, evening, Phil and Sam, ready for another great episode. And I am too, except we're hungry, man. Look at this poor man.
That's what I got for lunch and dinner.
Yeah, what's
Scott
the deal?
was waiting all day for
Scott Bucher said he would take care of us.
Promises. What'd you do to him? Last week, we got pizza, we got chicken. It was good stuff, and now I don't know what you did, man.
Well,
could be on its way.
everybody, you
We'll
keep
see.
your eyes back there and let us know if anything pops up. All right, let me give you Trout Titan says, love the show. And I'll tell you, we love being here. How long is the trip out of Ventura in May? It's a one-day trip, David. We're going on May the 3rd and returning May the 4th. And anybody wants some info, I think we got a couple of spots left, 657-227-6459. I feel like my voice is going to go out finally tonight. And just send me a text, please, and then we'll take good care of you there. Let's see. We've got Albert Ponce. Good evening, fellas. Albert, good to see you. Clayton, rock on, fellas. David maybe joining us on that trip. Man, I'll tell you, this show has really taken off. Good job, dude.
It's been good, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been fun.
It's been a lot of fun, and I'm so glad I came up with the idea.
It was genius.
Yes. Did you?
Whoever did, yeah.
Yeah, whoever came up with it was sheer genius. There's no question about it. All right, let me give you a little breaking news because Sam and I are both excited about this. Some I can tell you, some of my sources I can't tell you, but it sounds like the Polaris Supreme is up over 100 bluefin tuna. A lot of that he got last night. The Independence got back in with 80-something on the bluefin tuna. And now, folks, I can tell you that the weather's going to moderate for tomorrow, and there are bluefin tuna in one-day range of Point Loma.
Yep.
And while you could say that fish that they were fishing was in one-day range, there's even fish that I think the full-day guys, like the San Diego, can get on now. It really looks good. And once you get that weather to cooperate, it makes glassing and finding fish in terms of eyeball fish way easier, right?
Yeah, and that's what those guys, too, they don't have as much time, so they're leaving in the daytime, coming back in the daytime. So they got to make it happen, and a lot of it is just locating those fish as quickly as possible, and so that's key.
Yeah, so, I mean, this really, really sounds good, everybody. It really sounds like this thing could really take off. We've been dealing with some weather lower water temperatures this year. We're definitely in some kind of transition going to cooler water, but this looks really good. Pegasus, Fisherman's Landing, tomorrow night, 1-day trip. They are on it. They fish hard. It's a great boat. The Pegasus call Fisherman's Landing tonight. If you'd like to get on that trip, that should be a great one, no question about it. By the way, I talked to Stephen Cole today from the Constitution. Talked to him. I did a podcast with him, and Robin Yoshihiro, and that podcast will be available tomorrow. We talk about this and a lot more. It was really great. They were both fantastic. Dan Smith, Sam, and Phil, thank you for the tip about the extra tough wheelhouse boot.
Yeah.
I ordered a pair in size 15, and they are wide. Best feeling boot I've ever worn, and I have had them all. Thanks again. Daniel Sosky said he fixed it. Whatever it.
All right.
What is
perfect.
it?
Whatever it is.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad you
maybe we got
fixed
some
it.
food on the way.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. We got more food coming. So yeah, this bluefin thing seems like it's for real. We were in a little bit of a low there for a while, and then boom, here it comes again.
More of a weather lull, I think.
I think so. I think so. And then, Sam, a couple other things just fish-wise to talk about, and then we'll get into tackle and everything else. But Aloha Spirit, 16 white sea bass the other day to 55 pounds. That was looking, hey, we got food, I think. Maybe Scott Bukert may have come through. We don't have to starve. Yeah, don't let that guy get away, Sam. Tackle him. Yeah, he's running out to get him.
Yes.
We've got sea bass biting. We got Sam and I getting ready to bite. We've got really good signal on the bluefin. What do we got?
The Fiesta Pack.
The Fiesta Pack. Look at that. Thank you, everybody out there. We love you guys. Are we allowed to eat and do the show at the same time?
We got to ask the boss. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. That's you, I think, right? All right, let's see. Let me read a couple more for you. David Maestro, howdy, getting ready for my 3-day next week. David, you are right on track for a great trip. That should be
We got to
a
mention,
really
too,
good one.
great guy out there. Scott Bukert.
We have to.
Great guy. Love talking to the guy every day.
I talk to him.
I know you talk him multiple times a
Yeah,
day.
like 30 or
Super
40.
great guys, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Scott, for the dinner.
Can I ask you a question?
Heavy.
How many times have I walked in to this store and I'm talking to Scott Bukert when I walk in?
Every single time.
What do we have here? Oh my God. What the heck? There
barrel
goes the
of
keto
tacos.
diet down the drain.
Got 2 layers of it.
My God. Hey, where are the boys? Did they leave or are they here?
They're here.
I guess we should get into the show. We can
Yeah.
eat around it as we go. Let's see. Albert, wait a second. Emilio Escobar. I went out of Ensenada last Sunday with blackfin sport fishing. We love blackfin. Looking for bluefin around 45 miles offshore. We worked with the Mad Max. No boils, no bird activity. But we caught the first bluefin of the season. Emilio, I didn't know you
Very
were
good.
in on that. Congratulations, man. That is good. I saw that fish. I was so happy for Victor and the guys at Blackfin Sport Fishing. They're out there on Punta Banda. Emilio knows that really well, so does Albert Ponce. But they do a really great job. And part of why I like fishing out of Blackfin is because when you come back in, it's like a party. I mean, they set up a sashimi plate for you. If you want a beer, a cup of coffee, or whatever you want, they've got that for you. They got a table where they're cleaning and filleting your fish. It is such a great vibe and atmosphere that you're going to love it. Blackfin Sport Fishing down in Ensenada. Reminder, Pegasus going tomorrow night, 1-day trip out of Fisherman's Landing. Ring that phone up before it's too late. Albert says, hey, Sam, what are the main differences between the Makaira 15 and the 16?
Okay. Well,
My turn to take a
Yeah,
bite
yeah.
while you're answering the question.
for the 15, there's 2 15s. Let me go grab a reel
Is
here.
there any hot sauce in here?
In that one, yeah. Commercial.
Oh, commercial. Fisherman's Landing, San Diego has the Pegasus going on a 1-day trip. There are copious amounts of bluefin within 1-day range. I don't want to say like there's fish at 35 miles now, 40 miles, but there's fish at 35, 40 miles. So even the 1-day guys, as I mentioned, are going to get a piece of that. So if you don't want to go, you want to give it a little while, see what happens. I'd be paying very special attention to the morning briefing in the next couple of days. But it definitely looks like that light switch has gone back up. And there's different grades of fish. You definitely want to have something like 25 to 30 pound to fly line with. We want to see you fish in the fluorocarbon, whatever fluoro you like, or www.oxenusa.com. Put in FA at checkout, and Greg Brown will send you a love note and take really good care of you. You want to have that. Then you want to have a 40, 50 pound rod to fish maybe those 100-gram Colt snipers. This is Sam's expertise. He can correct me if I'm wrong. And then, of course, if you can, a 2-speed, 100, 130 pound, you definitely want to have that. Sam.
All right. So the biggest difference is obviously the size. You know, this is the 15. This is the new 15T. They used to make another 15 that didn't have a T at the end of it, and that one was a wider reel and not as tall, not as much drag, different gear ratio. They actually kind of have a gap between that smaller reel and then the 16, so they came out with the 15T, which, in my opinion, that 15T is probably one of the nicest reels for our new bluefin market here. It's not quite as big as a 16, as you can see here from the side. So it's not in the same even class of it, but it'll hold about 400 yards, 450 yards of 80 pound, depending on what brand you put on there. Whereas the Macaira will hold about 550 of 80 pound and maybe about 500 of 100 pound. So that's, first off, it's a much larger reel with larger line capacity. Also, the gear ratios on it are lower on the 16, making it have a little bit more torque for the size of the reel it is. So those are the two basic things. Basically, the 16 is a bigger reel, holds more line, more drag, more torque because it's a lower gear. But I will say, people always ask me, it's like, well, which one do I need? And if I was going to choose one, I'd probably choose the 16. But honestly, both of them are probably going to be something you want to look at for your arsenal. The 15T really being a nice, larger reel, but not too big for the sinker rig fishing and maybe even maybe daytime jig fishing. And the larger reel would definitely be a nighttime and also like a larger sinker rig fish, so fishing reel. So it's two reels that I would definitely recommend. I'll kind of leave these here sideways so you can kind of see how much bigger the 16 is.
It's quite a bit bigger, right?
Yeah, it's not a big reel of 16, but in comparison to the 15T, it's definitely a little bit bigger. So that's kind of sums it all. I hope that's kind of what you were asking about, but two different size reels.
He was talking about the performance and utilization of those reels. Did you cover that?
Yeah, that's basically what it is, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. All right, we've got the corpse. The Brandon is here. Hey, Sam, what's your favorite item on the sport boats to order? And follow-up question, what's the most unique food item you have ever seen as well on a sport boat? Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
they have like grillos fritos or anything like that?
I didn't know they had anything except for burgers that you can order.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's got to be your favorite,
yeah,
right? A burger.
Boat burgers always do the job.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, I don't know if I've seen anything strange. I think the biggest deal is just you get that high quality of food on the long range boats. I'm lucky enough to have gone on a few of those long range trips, and man, that's probably, I wouldn't call it strange. It's just the level of sophistication of what you get. Yeah. It's something out of a 5-star restaurant. I mean, growing up, I never really got a chance to eat at these like fancy restaurants. So I gotta imagine that must be what it's like. I mean, the stuff that they do, the sauces that they make from scratch, the fresh bread from scratch. I mean, it's bar none the best food that I would ever eat in that span of one time. I mean, I can't say, and everyone's got their own judge of what the best food is for this and that, but in the span of 10 days on a trip, I don't think you'd ever eat that good for 10 days straight.
Right.
I mean, it's pretty incredible.
You can't lose weight on one of those trips,
No,
right?
there's no way, no. Feed you 3 times a day, plus 2 snacks. Yeah, I mean, it's all the food you want. In fact, a lot of guys, will start asking for half portions, just because.
Yeah, right.
It's just like a lot of food. Yeah, I was like, man, the snacks are always almost as good as the meals, so it's pretty crazy. Yeah, so I don't know about a strange item on the boat.
But maybe strange in like you're used to a half-day boat, so when you get a rack of lamb or a prime rib, right?
Yeah.
And like Royal Star, you're on there. They have exquisite food, right?
Yeah. I mean, the one thing that I eat in there, maybe that I think I may not eat anywhere else, short-bill spearfish. We caught one on a trip.
I've never had that.
Yeah, we caught one on a trip, and they prepared it on the boat. It was awesome, so it's that kind of stuff. You just think, well, I'm never going to eat this anywhere else. So it was pretty cool.
I have a food question also. Where is the hot sauce? I can't find it.
I should have been in
There's
that
no
bag.
hot sauce.
Oh, is this an extra?
Yeah, what is that?
Oh, it's
Something
extra.
else. Yeah.
I thought it
Do we
would've been
take points away from Scott Bucher?
Yeah,
we
point.
do?
1 point.
All right, Scott. Sorry.
99 out of 100.
1 point down. Taipan Rods. You know those guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. Are they out of Taiwan?
No. So Simon, he's a rod manufacturer. He's actually out of Arizona.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty cool dude. Simon. Simon.
Hey, Simon.
That's every last name here. Apodaca, I think it is. But he's a manufacturer. He makes the blanks and builds the rods out of Arizona, and he's been starting to make some stuff for our West Coast fishing. He makes a few heavier rods, like plastics rods.
Yeah.
He makes a jig stick, and this year he started making well, actually not this year. I think it was a year ago now at least. But he started making a rail rod. I know the guys on the Shogun use it a lot. I think they have it as one of their loaner rods, maybe a couple loaner rods they have on that boat. I know they caught a lot of big fish on them. So pretty nice rods. In fact, I'll go grab one here for you guys to check out. It's a really nice rod.
Very cool. And I will remind you all that to keep your eye on fishing. Morning briefing tomorrow morning should be really good. I'm suspecting that with the nice weather, we're going to see more sea bass up in the Channel Islands, which has been the epicenter for sea bass fishing. And those bluefin are closer to Point Loma than they have been in a while. One more time again, the Pegasus Fisherman's Landing tomorrow night.
So this
One
is
day
it,
trip.
This is it right here. It's pretty West Coast. It's kind of black on black, black on gray actually.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's got a full rail grip for using on the rail. Alps reel seat. Your standard, what is now a standard heavy rod, 7.5 foot. This is a 60 to 130. One of the things that's notable about it is it's kind of smaller diameter. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what he's known for, is making some super small diameter stuff. If you're into that kind of stuff, and so it's a pretty cool rod. Good, high quality Fuji guides for his guides and Alps reel seat. Kind of getting right up there as far as in comparison to what we now consider the top notch rail rods. From CalStar, Seeker, United Composites. Those guys have been making rail rods their whole lives, so they've got it down. But as far as the newcomer is concerned,
he's real close.
He's doing a pretty
there.
good job. Yeah, and it's all U.S. made, just like theirs is. He has two models, a 50 to 100 and a 60 to 130. So if you guys want to check those out, we have them both here, and I think they're 539. So they're right in line with all the other brands.
Yeah, very nice. All right, tons of questions. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We really appreciate it. Tim Marquez says hi. Thanks for your help today, Sam. Really appreciate you and your guys. So Tim was in here today?
Yeah.
No, that's great. Dan Smith, watch out for that circle hook, guys. Sam almost got hooked. That is super nice of Scott. Very cool. Is there a circle hook behind you or something? Maybe that one?
Could be.
I don't know. All right, we're watching out, Dan. Trout Titans going for white sea bass, Channel Islands or Catalina. I would say Channel Islands. Cat's got fish, but if you're really looking for your best chance right now, I'd say Channel Islands.
Yeah, I mean, early on, that Catalina bite was good. It was kind of like on the hush-hush, guys that were going out there and can make some squid. That was a big part of it. You had to make your own squid, but if you can get out there and locate a good squid nest, it seemed like the guys were having pretty good success. But
Pride had 9 on one trip, which was a great hit.
Well, we had even a lot of private boaters. I'm assuming he's a private boater, but it does seem like once the things get settled in, those guys out of Channel Islands, they have it on lockdown. I mean, it seems like that place up there is just biting. When it starts to go, the place has been biting year after year. I mean, those guys just get it. So,
and this year, especially with the cooler water and the amount of squid, and the fact that China shut their market down, so we weren't taking as much squid as before.
Right.
It just seems like the perfect year for that kind of thing. So that sounds good to us. New show name. RG says dinner with Sam and Phil. Maybe. That reminds you to take a bite.
Yeah.
Well, I read another question. Dinard El Rio. Thanks for all you guys do. Joe Martinez. Great job. You guys are awesome. Keeping everyone informed. Joe Martinez with a 315-pound bluefin tuna last year. Joe, can't wait to fish with you on the Endeavor coming up. Joe's on all our charters. And honestly, I appreciate Joe being there for so many reasons. He's so positive. He had such a great vibe. And there's never a time when a new guy, or just somebody wants to learn a little something, goes to Joe. Joe will spend as much time as they're willing to take to to learn. So good to see you, Joe. Best to your family. Let's see. Dan Smith says, very nice reels. Tim Marquez says, the Terps tacos. I'm telling you, where's that hot sauce, Scott? I like the extra fiery stuff. All right, Joe Valerio. Joe, good to see you, my friend. Hi, Sam. Going on the Pacific Queen on April 28th on a 3-day. I have a 130-pound hollow JB on a Vizix 20. Which GraphTech rod for nighttime heavy knife jig, flat fall jigs would you use? 130 to 150 maybe? What top shot would you use?
130-pound top shot, and yeah, you're right on that rod. 130 to 150. I think would be a perfect match for that reel. You can probably go a little heavier if if we started seeing some of that bigger fish. That reel has a ton of drag, and you have some big line on it, so you could definitely fish heavier. But pulling on that 130 to 150, that's probably one of their nicer, heavier rods. That one that's right above it is on the borderline of being almost a kite rod, but that 130, 150 probably be the heaviest I'd like to pull on.
All right, Type on Rod says, what reel do you like for 200G slow pitch?
So on the slow pitch stuff, it really depends on kind of what we're targeting, but I know that with this rockfish season here that we've had, guys have been fishing a lot of that 16 Trinidad size, 16 narrow. Of course, they make the 2000 OSHA jigger, which is probably the most popular jigging reels for that kind of fishing, for that size of jig. If we're talking on the more like the jigging, heavy duty jigging for the tuna, guys are using a Torque 40 narrow, is probably one of the more popular ones. The Daiwa Saltiga 55, which is hard to get right now. They're out of stock. I know they're getting some more in. So that's been a really popular reel. It's a little bit bigger. And then if you can get a hold of one, those Jigging Master reels too. They have a line of reels that is specifically made for jigging. But those first two, I think that would be the first choice for me on the heavier stuff. And then also too, the OSHA Jigger 4000, another real nice reel, also out of stock from Shimano at the moment. But hopefully we'll be getting those real soon. That 4000 larger reel.
How are you feeling about the season now? Do you feel like it's kicking into gear?
Yeah.
Seems like it, right?
I mean, all signs point to something different going on with this rain and the weather. So, different right now. We don't want anything different because it's been so great the last 7 years. So we don't, we wouldn't mind if it just never changed at all. But with change, you always have to be a little concerned with, is it going to be a positive or negative change, or just just as positive but maybe in another direction. But yeah, it feels like definitely we're on the mend as far as the conditions are concerned. The water's warming up a little bit. We're getting more sunny days and more days of just no wind, which with all that wind we haven't been able to go fishing too much.
That's right. Dino Rochetti is a great guy. Dino, great to see you. He says Tommy Gomes French fried anchovies is one of his most favorite unique meals. Have you ever had that?
Unique. I haven't had it. But
I bet it's good.
Probably pretty good.
Doesn't it? Yeah. David Rosenthal, fishing on the Pacific Dawn, leaving Monday night, hoping to find the ghost. Good luck, David. What would you tell these guys? I see a lot of these fish being caught on those flukes that we had last time here. They're super effective on the halibut and the sea bass.
Yeah. I mean, the last couple of years, guys have really gotten good at trying to match the hatch, with the squid here. In fact, I think I have the flukes right here in this box still. It still seems to kind of be the ticket.
The go-to?
Yeah. In fact, Brian Burrell just sent a couple guys here today to the shop to buy some of these things.
He's going to be on the Pride tonight.
Yeah. So, I don't know if that looks like a squid to the fish, but it seems like they're eating it like if it was a squid. Rigged up with that head there, the get some head, and so that seems to be the ticket. And one of the things guys were asking me about, like, well, what about the color? White. You think, well, this orange, blaze orange they call it, has also been very popular, and I don't know why, but I've had guys from the options. They got maybe a charter on the options mid-season last year a few times.
Yeah.
Where they sent the whole group to come down here and say, buy all the ones you can get.
Oh, really?
And blaze orange, yeah. I don't know why. I don't know if it maybe. I don't know.
It doesn't work.
Because it works. Right? Yeah, obviously, yeah. If those guys are telling them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're telling their customers to come down and get them. They must be something. So, Obviously the white, it just looks like it's right in line there. As you can see, it has a big, long shanked hook. But this orange has been a good one. And we have the glow as well, so you would think the glow would be good too.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, it seems like maybe this kind of is almost like a glow. Because you're not fishing real deep water. You're not fishing
No.
200 feet of water, 50, 60 feet of water or something like that maybe.
Yeah.
And so maybe that orange hasn't just enough brightness to it that guys like that.
So Sam, you cast that out, and then how do you work it? What do you do?
Well, from what I
Sink it
understand,
down to the bottom?
Yeah, sink it down, and well, that's the deal, right? So, this hook tie position is so far back on the lead head, and it's got these wings, as you can kind of see, just kind of like squid-looking wings on them. So what happens is that just with a little bit of current, which with sea bass you need a little bit of current, is that they'll push on these wings and it'll swim. So you need to have tension on it. You'll kind of slow wind it, maybe just pull up just like if you're working a squid on a lead head, where you're kind of slowly pumping it. But the whole deal is that the head itself, I guess, produces some swimming action.
Yeah.
So you're going to pump the squid just like if you're fishing a lead head squid or a egg sinker with the big hook. Same kind of deal. You want to put some action into it. But yeah, I mean,
I like that big giant hook.
I think the head does it on its own. That's kind of the deal.
Yeah. All right, sounds good. Do you want to get to this gentleman? What was he asking about?
Oh, yeah.
Ken G. Herbert.
Yeah, so Ken.
He's from Missouri, and
Yeah.
we're thrilled to get a letter from him.
So Ken was asking us. He wrote us a letter about how he's from Missouri. He goes fishing down to San Diego, does some long range trips, and what he'll do, to make his time more effective, is that he'll book 2 or 3 multiple day trips back to back. So he comes out, he flies out, he does maybe 3 or 4, 2 or 3 day trips, and so he strings together, a week of trips or a week and a half, 2 weeks of trips, and then he flies back home. Well, what he does is that he leaves the tackle with his buddy in San Diego, and so what his question was, kind of a concern that he had was, about the spectra. How long is too long for the spectra? And really, another comment that he made is that on the way back on his trips, he'll let pretty much all the line out, or at least all the line that he uses on the trip, wind it back in tight, and he'll check for nicks, bat spots, stuff like that. If he feels a bat spot, then he'll change the line. But by itself, the spectra should technically last forever. If you can confidently say that the line feels smooth, that it hasn't starting to maybe get any bad spots from the tangles or rubbing on the boat, that stuff should last 10 years or longer. I really haven't had a line that by itself has broken down. So I would say you're good. I think he said he's had it on 3 or 4 years. I think you're at the very most halfway through the life of that spectra. Now, one thing I would comment on is that how he said he lets all the line out behind the boat is that as you're winding it back in, you're also going to be bringing in all that salt water onto your reel. So if you could, or have your buddy do it, is maybe try to wash that reel and try to wash that line as best you can. You don't want to be spraying it for an hour, but you might put maybe a slow drip onto the spool so that it just kind of bleeds through the line and rinses it out as best as possible. And then to allow that reel to dry, air dry, outside of a reel bag. You don't want it in a reel bag where all that moisture gets trapped in, but have it somewhere in a dry garage or something like that where it's really going to fully evaporate before your buddy puts away those reels for you to come back next year.
So you don't want to take a hose and spray it?
No, I wouldn't. No. I mean,
because I see a lot of guys doing that all the time.
Yeah, I mean, maybe quickly, like if you're just going to pass it just
Yeah.
to wet your stuff out, to wet it so that you can now wipe it. But to be able to get deep into the line, you're going to have that hose on the line for a while for it to penetrate all the way through it.
Yeah.
Get some of that salt out. So, just do the best you can to try to maybe not think about so much about getting all the salt out because you're just not. I mean,
Yeah.
there's going to be salt water on there, but maybe letting it air dry before they get put away in a bag. That's probably going to be the number one thing is make sure it's dry. But it sounds to me like you're doing the right thing, and you should have 5 or 6 more years left on there.
All right, Ken G. Herbert, thank you again. Watching us from Racine, Missouri.
Yeah.
We really appreciate
Pretty
it very
cool,
much.
man.
Hit that like button, everybody. We really appreciate you watching. Starting to push up toward 80 viewers here, Sam. Emilio Escobar wants to know if you have the new Mag Bay lure for speed trolling.
No, I know they make a mag track. I'm not sure if he's talking about that guy there, but I don't have those in stock. I know they make some really nice lures. I mean, Mag Bay Lures is kind of known for making some. Pretty much all they do is almost all trolling lures, but Yeah, I know that Mag track was a popular one for the Wahoo a couple years back, but I'd have to see if they have something else different from that. So I'll have to check that out.
All right, sounds good. Dan Alcanzar, listening to the show, stuck on the 91 freeway, heading to the 22nd for one of Damien's charters. Wish us luck, Friedman Adventure family. They're going to be on board the Amigo. David, I already saw it when I was over at the landing earlier today. I saw guys already lining up. Yeah, that should be a great trip because you're going to have nice weather. I think you're on a 1 day, if I remember right. So who knows? I mean, you got all the way to Clemente, and God knows what you might run across. I mean, sea bass, yellows, great rock fishing, maybe even a bluefin tuna when you're motoring around there. That would not surprise me one bit. Best of luck to you, David. Dave Maestro, 62 views. Let's hit the likes, everybody. Brandon says, we love you, Joe. Chunkin, or Chewy and SoCal. Sorry about that. Which determining factor do you think is the most key to focus on when scheduling a trip? Moon phase, temp breaks, or geographic structure?
We're talking about tuna fishing, or
Let's just say tuna.
yeah,
For now.
I honestly don't think it matters. I mean, when you go fishing and you have a good trip, you look at what the conditions and then say, well, that must have been it.
Hey, yeah, it was a full moon. They bet wide open.
Yeah.
Or man, it was slow. Full moon, you know?
Yeah, I used to always look at that real hard too. I mean, when I was first coming up and this bluefins first started coming around, is trying to figure them out. When are they going to bite? But man, it seems like those things, when they want to bite good, it'll be like for a month straight. So throw
Yeah.
both sides of a moon. When they don't want to bite, it's like throw a month straight, like both sides of the moon.
Right.
So, as far as finding fish, I think you're right on the temp breaks and color breaks, stuff like that.
Structure.
Yeah, that really kind of makes a lot more sense as far as if you're looking at some terrafin charts or things like that, chlorophyll charts. Because more often than not, I mean, those things are feeding, so that's why they're along those temp breaks and edges, is that bait will basically hide on the dirty side, versus the clean side, and so they're going to be swimming along that looking for that bait. So
Yep.
really, they're following the bait. I don't know if the moon makes them eat anymore, but those temp breaks is probably going to be a bigger deal.
Yeah, for sure. And those fish are on those what we like to call is like a highway almost. So they get on all that different structure, 1010 trench, the mushroom, the butterfly, 425. All those zones can be holding fish. So I think if you focus in on that, you could help yourself quite a bit. Great, thank you, Sam. Says Joe Valerio. Chewy and SoCal tackle chisme in full effect.
That's right.
The Tereps setup for sea bass, rod and reel.
Setup. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nothing real specific. Like one of them is going to work. I would say an 8-foot rod, so then rated like a 30 to 60, and it doesn't have to be a 2-speed reel. So anything in a medium size, Saltis 40, Torium 20, something like in that range. So keep it simple on that part of it, but definitely a longer, kind of somewhat stiffer rod. These fish that they've been getting, a lot of them have been nice size.
Big fish.
Yeah,
Man.
so a 30 to 60 rod would be about right. Depending on the brand, you might see a 30 to 80, something like that. But I would definitely have the lower of the two numbers be a 30, and then whether it's a 30 to 60, 30 to 80, something like that. 8-foot is what I would choose, and then a smaller to medium conventional reel.
What's the most wide open sea bass bite you've ever been in?
I haven't been in one of those big rippers like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've been on them where it's been on a pick bite, or they'll come through and we'll catch 5 or 6 of them, thing like that. But nothing to where they're biting, full speed
Like,
for an hour.
yeah.
No, I haven't. I've never been on one of those trips.
What's your
yeah.
biggest sea bass?
Not that big, probably
Yeah.
like 25 pounds.
Like
It's
my
good
blue-
size, but
Yeah.
not none of those big tankers. No.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Albert Ponce, part 1. I guess we got 2 questions. Here is one question I have always wanted to ask. I don't know if it's for you, Sam, or maybe we can have Danny answer it later. Part 2, if I have a rod, which it used to be 8.6 or 9 feet, medium heavy, but negligence or whatever, the tip broke, and now it's about 2 to 3 inches, give or take. Did the rod lose all its purpose, or by being shorter, has it become more of a power stick, or what?
Yeah. So it really depends on the rod. Every rod is going to have a different bend to begin with. So the more parabolic the rod is, the less of change you're going to notice. And by parabolic, what we mean is a rod in which it's mostly, stiff and then has a light tip. That's going to be, actually, that's a fast rod. A parabolic rod is one that bends more smoothly all throughout the rod. And so if you can imagine a rod that's more parabolic, when you lose a couple inches, you're not really losing a whole lot of action there. But when you're talking about a fast action rod, something that has all of the action at the very tip of the rod, you're going to find that losing a couple inches may change the way it feels. As far as losing all its utility, I wouldn't call it that. And yeah, it might turn it into a little bit more of a power stick, but it really depends on the rod. I would say is it depends on the rod. So if that happened to you, you can give me a call or even post a message here as to which rod it was. I can probably give you a better answer. But 2 or 3 inches is not going to change it completely.
Yeah, right on. All right, Chewy and SoCal, you guys should start doing giveaways for those viewers that participate in the chat. Jigs, hooks, line of something, just to get the excuse to go pick it up and purchase more items. Not a bad idea.
Yeah, yeah.
This show's a work in progress,
It
right?
is, it
And
is.
that's a good suggestion. I was thinking about that today, actually. I should be doing giveaways on the morning briefing and all kinds of stuff. Except, I'm a one-man show, so
Yeah.
then mailing it out and everything, I
Yeah.
get behind on that, and oh my God, I don't even go. But it's a great idea.
Right, right.
We'll definitely give that some serious thought. Greg Sheridan. Good evening, great evening, Phil and Sam. Always a pleasure. I need to get my R's together. I bet that's Scott Bucher calling us. Is that who it is?
Everyone's calling in for free stuff.
I know, yeah, really. I need to get my R's together. I need a reel for my CalStar 90J. What do you suggest?
Almost the same reel as I was talking about on the sea bass rig. Saltfish 40, Saltigo 40, Trinidad 20, Torium 20, the Penn Fathom 25 narrow or 30 would be good as well. Star drag reel in the medium size is kind of what I would recommend for that. If you bring down the rod or if you just want to come down, I can show those to you. But in fact, let me grab a couple there.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah, answer a couple more.
I can remind some of the people that are coming on the show now, almost up to 90 viewers. Thank you so much. We deeply appreciate it. Don't forget, tomorrow morning, bright and early, the morning briefing. We'll have the very latest for you. We'll summarize everything we can. And then during the daytime, if there's any breaking news like today, heard from the Royal Star as they moved up on Hurricane Bank and started to fish. Last time I talked to them, 25 yellowfin tuna. They had a 302-pounder, a 275, and then a lot of fish in that 140 to 190 class. So the Royal Star having an exceptional start to their fishing out on Hurricane Bank. Of course, the Royal Polaris just returned with some outstanding fishing. And if you're just joining us right now, there are bluefin tuna within one-day range, easy one-day range, seeing a lot of fish moving closer to Point Loma, and by that I mean 40 miles. So even the one-day boats like the San Diego is going offshore on Thursday morning, the Grande is going offshore, and the Pegasus is going on a special one-day trip leaving tomorrow night from Fisherman's Landing in San Diego. So that definitely is a trip that you want to get on. One more time again to Kenji Herbert from Missouri. Thanks for watching. Star come down from San Francisco and visiting Sam today as a fan of our show. We thank you so very, very much. And of course, all of you who make Friedman Adventures, and in particular this show, so great. We deeply, deeply appreciate it. Well, it looks like, man, how many reels did you bring over here this time, man?
Just a couple to look at here. So
I might be able to eat a taco while you're doing this.
I want to give you a chance. We got a lot to go there.
Yeah, I know.
Tacos, yeah.
What are these, burritos?
On the bottom, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
I'll let you know how they are.
So here's a saltfish here. And what I mean by medium here, obviously this is a conventional reel. It's going to be the, of the ones that are offered are going to be the larger of the two diameter ones. So they might have like a saltfish 20, which would be a shorter reel, a smaller reel, kind of like a squidder size reel. Mm-hmm. And then you get to this larger size, which is more of a jig master size reel. But you'll see that these two that I'm talking about are of the larger of the two. But when I say medium, I mean to say more of the width. Whereas this is a 35, the narrow one there. This is the 40, which is the medium one, and they have a larger or wider one, which is the 50. And so the one that I like is the medium one, which is the 40. Some guys like the wider one than that, especially if they're fishing heavier line. You know, they need something that holds a little bit more line. They might go with that. You'll see. I'll show you guys here also in the Shimano Trinidad. They have the narrow there, which is the 16. They actually even have a more narrow reel than that, the 16 narrow. But the Trinidad 20, and like I've said before in some of the shows here, the Trinidad 20 is one reel that a lot of longtime jig casters really like. So, and then you have the Penn Fathom, which has been a great reel. One of the things about the Penn Fathom, I will say, is that the free spool on it is pretty dang good out of the box. You pretty much don't have any of them that ever have to get cleaned out. Some of the reels, you know, in assembly seem like they put maybe a little bit too much grease on them, and they're fine. You just got to go in there and clean out that grease. But it seems like with these pens, they really make it a point to make sure that the setup on them is as free as possible. They also have another feature to them. It's called a live spindle, and all that means is the spool shaft and bearing system is a little different without getting too deep in it, and it does produce a pretty good free spool, almost too much free spool for some people, but they're real nice too. But my favorite is that Trinidad 20, and but there's several reels, as you can see, that would work just fine.
God Almighty, yeah, there are, and there's so. That's one of the things about our tackle now.
Right.
We are so blessed. I mean,
Yeah.
you can hardly go wrong with the major companies, right? That are
That's
putting
for sure.
stuff out.
Yeah, I mean, as far as when I was growing up, I mean, you either had a Jigmaster or a Newell, you know, and if you were the hot guy, you had a Newell, and if you had money like me and you couldn't afford a Newell, you had a Jigmaster, you know, and you made it work, and they worked fine. You know, we caught millions and millions of fish on Jigmasters, but nowadays, gosh, I mean, these reels, I mean, even a reel this size here has a bigger drag than a 9.0 would have had back in the day, and they're tiny, you know, because of Spectra, we can use smaller reels, but man, these reels are so much nicer, and they are so smooth. It's incredible.
All right, Mickey Salinas, who happens to be an incredible human being. Mickey, great to see you and your family here. Joe Martinez says, more vegetables, Phil. He's picking on me for having these.
Send them down.
Hey, yeah, Joe, come on.
Send them down.
You don't live too far away. Get over here with the veggies, man. Sam and I will feed them to something, not us. All right, Tim Marquez. Sam, can you add a couple of those flukes to my reels you're lining? Thanks.
You got it.
All right, there you go. Joe Valerio. At Greg, pair that CalStar with a Shimano Trinidad Gold for an old school look or a new 20A.
Yeah, that's basically what we're talking about. The gold Trinidad is the previous version that they had, and once again for the jig guy, the guy who wants, you know, that's a jig fisherman. He's been doing it for a long time. He probably had the Trinidad Gold for a lot of years. This is the new one here, but the gold is a nice one too.
Yeah.
I got a few of those.
All right, very good. Mickey says his son is watching the show. I want to say hello to both Sam and I. Joe Martinez wants to know where the coffee is. Joe, that's the morning briefing, man. You know, I'm drinking energy drinks now. I drink coffee, my heart's going to blow out of my chest.
Later is early. I don't know which one it is.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be toasting you at 6 tomorrow morning. Dave Maestro, Cal Sheets offers a service to wash and inspect your Spectra and re-spool it back after it dries.
That's not a bad idea. I think he was mentioning to Ken his question that he had.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and so, you know, if Ken, if you had a few years and you just kind of want to get that out of your mind, you know, have your buddy send him down to Cal Sheets. He's in Fallbrook, and yeah, that's a really great service too. He'll actually go through the reels, make sure they're all good, the line that is, and if they need something to be addressed, those guys are experts. They do line all day long, and so that might be a thing to look into.
Is that something to do at the end of the season or after every trip or what?
Oh, definitely at the end of the season, and that's kind of what Ken was talking about, is that he does the stretch, you know, 2 weeks or whatever he does on the boats, and then he goes back to Missouri.
Yeah.
So he's not going to use it for another year. So if you know you're not going to use it for 6 months or something like that, and it's a reel, especially these bigger reels, you know, we talk about these like 16, or like the other day we were showing the 20 and the 30 size Macaira and the Penn reel. Well, you know, if a reel this size holds, you know, whatever, you know, a couple of teaspoons of salt water, let's just say, you know, I mean, if I had to put a measurement to it, you can imagine what an International 30 would hold, you know, a ton of salt water. So, and that's just going to dry on your reel. It's going to dry on your spool, and just create more maintenance problems down the road. So, if it's a reel that you know you caught a couple big fish on, or maybe we were trolling a Mad Max and you had half your reel out or something like that, and you know you weren't going to use it for a few months, I mean, it wouldn't be the worst idea to send it down to those guys.
Yeah,
and
right.
make sure that your reel's in good working order.
Yeah, and if the line is good, then you're all set and you're all
Yeah.
ready to rock and roll. And then they go through the reel also, do
Well,
they?
I'm pretty sure they can do
You can
that
ask
too.
them to do that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They're a full service shop.
All right, Steve Bermudez. Miss Steve, where have you been all night, Steve? Fish have the capability of seeing ultraviolet light, and the color white is a natural ultraviolet color. And all bait fish have, boy, what is this? And all bait fish have some form of the color white on their body, so they stand out.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
I
think
think
Steve's
so.
drinking again.
Maybe.
Yeah. No. Yeah, yeah. Good point, Steve.
Yep. I think one of the things
Just humor him. He gets
he
violent.
may be talking about. We were actually talking about this the other day, as far as line color, because there's like, I mean, every color of the rainbow. In fact, some line is all the rainbow colors in the same line. But, what's a good line? As far as fish not seeing it, because obviously you want to get bit. That's why we use fluorocarbon,
Right.
so that the fish won't see the line. And the theory, that I have, and I think what he's talking about as well is, that the white line, in my opinion, the white line is probably the least visible line in the water, for the reason that most predator fish are feeding from below. You have a school of bait, and they're crashing through it. Well, they're coming from below to eat that fish and boil. That's where you see a boil. And so what leads me to believe that the white line is less visible is all those bait fish have white bellies. So I'm pretty sure that through Mother Nature that they've developed that white belly to be less visible to predators. So if white on their belly is less visible, I would imagine that white spectra is less visible. Now, this is just us kind of thinking that, we're not fish and we can't say for sure. But in my opinion, the white line should be the least visible to fish. So that might be what he's talking about. I don't
Okay.
know.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sam Tran says, hi, thoughts on the Macaira 16 versus the Penvisix 16 versus the Saltiga 60?
All great reels, all in the same general class. Of the three, I think that the Macaira might hold a little bit more line, but pretty close to that 60 Saltiga. The Pen 16 holds a little bit less line. And the biggest thing that I would look at as far as the differences is going to be the gear ratios. I think we've talked about this once before, that there's kind of like the small reels, like let's say that Saltiga goes all the way down to a size 15, which is like a 20-pound reel. The 60 is the largest of that family of reels. Whereas on the Macairas, they go all the way up to like a 130, like an international 130. So this is kind of one of the smaller, although they make smaller ones, but this is on the smaller end of their large reels. They have other smaller reels, but as far as the family of reels, this is on the smaller side. So kind of the way I look at it is that the Macaira and the Pen are the smallest beefy reels that they make, whereas the Saltiga is the largest, like light duty reel that they make. Not that it's not capable, but if you look at the gear ratios, you'll see that the gear ratios are higher on the lighter duty reel because it's made for lighter duty fishing, and the gear ratios are lower on the heavy duty reel because it's made for heavy duty fishing. They're all great. The one thing about the Saltiga that people like is that it's got that really big handle that is so comfortable, and the high speed for some guys, especially when they're doing that fast jigging, it actually does work pretty good for that part of it. So if you're using it for that, that might work out really good. But if I was just light bait fishing on a long range boat, I probably would prefer the Pen or the Macaira.
All right, excellent question, Sam. Thank you for that. Hey, don't forget to hit that like button, my friends. Subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying it, and share this with a friend right now. Let them know we're on live. They can ask a question. Sam and I are willing to stay here till
whenever.
Oh my God.
So more food comes.
Yeah. And Scott has a question after one more question. I was wondering.
Let's go straight to Scott's question.
Wait a minute. You're right. I'm sorry to skip over you, Mark.
No.
But he's right. No. Scott sent all that food down. And now I know what he's been up to. He just says, I'm on the Old Glory tonight for a day and a half. So he was looking for a trip.
Yeah.
That's what he was doing. And he heard all what we're talking about here about
Sign up.
the bluefin moving in and everything else. Well, Scott, we wish you the very best of luck.
Go get him, man.
Yeah, and thank you again for the food. You're number one. I don't care what Sam says about you or any of the
Anybody
people that I
else.
interviewed today. Yeah, Mark Paisano or anybody. All right, let's see. Back to Mark. Mark says, "Hi, Phil and Sam. Sam, thanks again for your help in selecting my new Makaira 20 today. On the pursuit tomorrow and a 2-day in 2 weeks. Can't wait to put that Makaira to use. Cheers."
That was awesome. Yeah, actually, he came in basically with the same question. You know, we were looking at some different reels, some stuff that he had, and whether or not you needed a bigger reel. And you know, he was mentioning about how he had lost the big fish, not necessarily because of the reel, but you know, he had gotten into a tangle and he got sawed off. But you know, he remembers that fish because he knows it's the biggest fish he had ever hooked. He had just got a 140 pounder, I think, that same day, and he says, "Man, this thing was way bigger." And so, looking at that situation and what happened, you know, hard to say whether the Makaira would have made it so that he would have landed the fish, but definitely, you know, now that you're on that trophy hunt, you know, Mark's been coming in for a few years now. We've been getting him set up.
Great
with
guy.
gear, super
Mark,
good guy.
good to see you, buddy.
And he's been building up his gear. At first, it was kind of like, well, you know, this is what I got. I'll make it work the best I can. And he would have a good trip. And then now that he's going on longer trips and the longer trips, and in fact, just yesterday he was saying that he really only wants to go tuna fishing. He wants to go catch that big fish. So he said, and, you know, what do I need? And I said, well, you got to go with the big reel if you, you know,
You're serious about
you're
it.
serious about it. You
Yeah.
know, you don't never know. And yeah, you could, after a couple years, let's just say, and you don't catch something on, you might feel like, well, that was a waste of money. But you know, when you're on the big fish and you land it, you're gonna remember and you're gonna say, man, I'm glad I had that big reel. So that's where Mark's headed. I think that his trip tomorrow was canceled, so that's what he bought the reel for. He's gonna go fishing on the Pursuit, but I know he's got a few more trips, and I'm sure he's going to use that reel and catch a big one.
All right, have fun on the Pursuit tomorrow, Mark, and say hi to Gus and all their great crew there. All right, Daniel says he has an old school True Line 8-foot jig stick. How much you think it's worth?
Well, anywhere between nothing and $1,000. I mean, yeah, you know, those True Line rods, they went through a lot of different eras. You know, different not manufacturers, but different times in their lifespan to where they were made differently. And so there's some of those that are worth a lot of money. They were used a color glass that they only used for a short time, and they made heavy ones and light ones, and they made octagon ones. So those 8-footers, I think was he talking about a D8?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, there's probably, I mean, this is just me kind of guessing off the top of my head. There's probably at least 10 different versions of them. Probably more than that.
Some are worth nothing, some are worth a lot.
Yeah, I wouldn't say nothing. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
it's going to be worth some money for sure. But really, you know, if anybody, if I would reach out to is Moon, you know, Moon's Custom Rods. He's been dealing with those True Lines
I had Moon on my show, right?
for 25 years,
Yeah.
you know, or more, however long it's been. Probably 30 years he's been dealing with those rods. So he'd be a good guy to ask, or maybe send a picture on social media or something like that. He might be able to give you a little bit better answer.
Yeah, and the reason I asked, you know, I had Moon on my show, I just looked. How many videos do you think we put up in 2 years on this crazy Friedman adventure?
Like 10 videos or something.
1,000 something.
1,000 videos.
Yeah.
That's like 3 a day. No, how many years?
I don't know, man. You see, that's why I have no hair left, man. All right, and thanks to you for watching all that stuff. I deeply appreciate it. All right, Tony says, good evening, guys. Sam, do you carry the Makaira 15T in silver, and how would it set up with my braid? Thank you.
80-pound braid. 80-pound braid is what I put on there. It'll take about 400 to 450 yards, depending on how full you like it, and what kind of braid you use. I mean, if you put that 80-pound max quattro, you probably get like 600 yards on there. Excuse me. And as far as the color silver, I believe we have it in stock. If not, we normally do have it in stock. I'd have to go look, but yeah, normally we do have it in stock.
All right, and Scott Buchert wants to know if you're worried about AI taking over the world, artificial intelligence.
Not yet, no.
Elon
That would be
Musk
pretty
is
cool. Make
worried
my
about-
job easier, huh?
Yeah, really.
You know, two AI.
Yeah,
right
just
here.
you see the AI guy. Yeah, right. All right, let's see. Brandon, the corpse. Hey, Sam, do you remember those old Shimano Calcuttas? Are those still around? I need an inshore outfit. Don't know what to get. I had all-star inshore rod and a Calcutta on it back in the day.
Yeah. You know, I think they still make that 400 size. Although I will say this, the new low-profile style reels, that Lexa 300, 400, or if you look into a Shimano, that Tranx 300, 400, in my opinion, are far superior. There are some guys who still use those 400s freshwater fishing for those big, using those big swim baits for largemouth bass, but by and large, the new low-profile reels are just, they cast better, they got bigger drags, bigger handles, they're easy to get. The price on them is decent. I think they start around $200. And in my opinion, they're just superior. But if you're looking for one, I think they still make them. I don't know if they have any in stock. I don't know how many of those they sell anymore. But yeah, I think they're still available.
All right, very good. Mark, let me give a little background to his question. Star was a lady that watches our show in San Francisco and visited you today.
Yes.
And so I was happy to hear that. Sam got to meet her. And Mark was here and he said, I met Star during my visit at Sam's today. She's awesome. And we'll catch the big 300-pounder tomorrow on the Legend. We certainly hope Star does great. And if Star, if you're listening, Sam and I both send our very best and wish you the best of luck.
Go get him, Star.
Yeah, if you do, stop by on your way back to San Francisco.
That'd be
We'd
awesome.
love to congratulate you. Have you on the show. Mike Trunk, maybe start Walk with Phil again on Thursdays. Yeah, maybe.
All right, start again. Did you ever do it?
No, I was going to start something like that.
You started though,
actually. That's a good idea.
Yeah,
Is he
yeah.
talking about me eating too many tacos? Maybe.
Yeah, I'm switching over.
Oh, hey. Well, I blew the carb thing tonight too. So, Mike, good suggestion. Love you. David Jimenez, I don't live near the water. What can I use to cast at the park or in a field?
I don't know, rod and reel. No, I think
Sam
it's
is being cute, David.
You know, I mean, maybe a jig. Yeah, I mean, there's some
Yeah,
sand.
or a sinker or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to be like Frank LaPresse, they'd say use a clothespin to simulate the weight of an anchovy.
I guess it depends on what you're trying to achieve.
Right.
Yeah. That's kind of an old deal here. I don't know if they even make clothespins anymore, but
Yeah, do they?
I don't know.
Nobody puts their clothes out anymore, do
No,
they?
no.
You know, I swear to God, you'd laugh your ass off. In China, I'd be walking down the street. There's a woman's bra, her pants, and then a frickin' fish on the clothesline.
Fish?
Yeah.
They're drying it out or something?
Yeah. Or, some guy's T-shirt and, then a fish.
And a fish.
I'm like, man,
Wow.
I got you the photo. That is so cool.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. So, clothespins, yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I mean, in a park, obviously you want to be real safe with people walking around.
Yeah.
But maybe grab a jig and, tie the hook down with some duct tape or something like that so you don't snag something or somebody. But, yeah, other than that, I would use something super lightweight. I mean, maybe a swim bait. If you can get a hold of a little plastic, little 3-inch swim bait, might be able to simulate a sardine on your lighter rig. And just a full-on jig. If we're talking jig fishing, I would try to cast a jig and try to simulate casting a jig. That's going to be your best. You want to replicate the exact size, weight of a jig, and just make sure you tape down that hook.
Yes. Because you're going to get snagged in the grass and all that
Yeah,
too. So you
yeah,
want to
yeah.
get that out of the quotient. We should mention, by the way, May 19th through the 21st, we're doing a surf fishing tournament with our friends over at the Redondo Rod and Gun Club. Chuck Zimmer, love Chuck and his family. They're wonderful people. We just had that day at Santa Ana River Lakes. That was great,
good,
Sam.
huh?
Yeah, it was awesome. We had like over 50 kids and then like 2 parents for
50
each
kids,
kid.
huh? That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And, cooked up a storm, and the guys were great from the Rod and Gun Club, teaching knot tying, and some kids caught some fish. It was great. But we'll be doing that. We'll have details. We're kind of firming that all up. Fish from Worm King is helping us out. He's done tournaments before. Chuck and I are working on it. We've already got some great prizes, and we'll have all the rules and details. They'll be able to sign up here, right? The day of the tournament, the day it starts.
We'll be here early. I'll be here whatever time we're saying. Like,
We asked you. 5 a.m., 6 a.m.?
yeah,
7
I mean,
a.m.?
whatever you guys decide, I'll do. I'll tough it out for you guys. No problem.
You're number one, man. So you can come see Sam on the 19th, which is my wife's birthday. So I've got to be a little bit careful that day. All right.
Oh, look at that, Scott. Look at that.
Now, Scott must want something from me because normally he would say, Scott just put a comment up for those of you who can't see it. By the way, almost 90 people watching. Hit that like button, please. Scott will normally say, Sam is way better and you suck, Phil, right? But
usually says
tonight, he put, you're both good. So what do you think that's about? He wants something from
Softened
me.
him up. I don't know.
He wants something from me. I know he does. I already know what it is.
Or maybe I'm losing ground.
Maybe.
I
I
must
don't
have
know.
done something. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. All right, Brandon says, so Steve is scaring me, Phil and Sam. I just did all reels with that multicolored Iserline Spectra. Spent lots of money on it. It's the one that's metered for depth. Now I think I messed up. Why would he think that?
Steve, was he talking about cleaning the line or?
Maybe.
Well, tell us.
That shouldn't.
Yeah, mention what your concern is, and I can address it for sure. I don't want to address the wrong concern.
All right, Droopy's Fishing Channel. Hey, Droopy, what's happening? Preferred surface iron for all time.
Tatty 45. Yeah, a good swimming Tatty 45 is hard to beat. You know, some of the new stuff that's out there now, you know, the JRI stuff is really, really good. I've actually had a lot of good success with that JRI number 7. That's another good one. You know, those OCT jigs, those machine jigs, you know, I was definitely a naysayer, you know, saying like, yeah, you don't need that or it's a waste of money, but I've seen those things work, and they do work 100%. I know they're expensive. They're like $40 or maybe more now, I don't know, but they do work. But to me, personally, you know, I've got a few boxes, maybe more than a few of Tatty 45s only, you know, maybe a couple hundred of them or something like that. I've got enough there to choose for the rest of my life for sure. And I would say that a good swimming Tatty 45 is hard to beat. I got a lot of confidence in those.
Yeah, I have to agree, man. Those are such good jigs. There's no question about it. I mean, how long have they been good for? Forever, right?
Forever. I mean,
Yeah.
as long as I've been fishing, yeah.
Tons of questions, tons of people watching. Thanks for hitting the like button, everybody. Joel Lopez, hey guys, great show. Passed through the store today, checked some things out, and saw some kicker jigs that looked interesting. Do they get bit?
Yeah, definitely. Those kicker jigs here. Let me go grab a couple of them. They're pretty
nice jigs,
They're
right?
pretty cool. You know, I mean, Kicker as a brand has been out for I don't know, 20 years or something like that. But I think that they were taken over just recently by a couple guys here that are been doing a pretty good job. They don't have, I don't think. Well, maybe they have. Kicker never really was kind of a
Who was the original guy?
Gosh, man, I'm trying to.
You
I was
remember
trying to-
that? Was it Brad?
I'll think
Yeah,
in a second
yeah.
here. But I'm not sure if he was talking about these two specifically, but they got two basic sizes, a 15 and a 25. One of the things that they have, I could bring over 20 jigs or that they have over there, but they're your basic colors, like your mint and white, scrambled egg, blue and white, things like that. They have these tetrafoil colors, which are like these shimmery kind of silver things. Those are really nice. Then they make them light and heavy. So this is actually a 15 heavy. Pretty nice, kind of like a medium depth jig, you know?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
That would work as a yo-yo iron.
Yeah, definitely something. It's not like your big giant heavy jig.
Right.
And then these light irons as well. So yeah, they're really, really nice. The paint job on them was real nice. The price on them is actually pretty dang reasonable.
Yeah,
With
I saw that.
Price of jigs going up these days.
Yeah.
Definitely a good product to check out.
All right, don't forget, we're trying to remember that guy's name. I have it on the tip of my tongue. I can see the guy, blonde-haired guy.
Yeah, you're tall.
Yeah, kind of tall. Somebody
Yeah.
might know that. Who knows? All right, Charles Zimmer. Does the Makara make a narrow version?
No, not really a really narrow version. I guess they have some reels that are narrower than others. So like they have a 20 and then they have a 30. So the 30 is just a wide version of the 20, or vice versa. The 20 is a narrow version of the 30. But depending on how tall you're looking to go, they don't really make like a 16 and a 16 narrow per se. So I guess no is the simple answer, but sometimes is a more complicated answer.
Okay. Face Too Much OG. Number 2 Mustad J hook and 25-pound fluoro. How's that sound for the schoolie tuna around? I don't think you need circle hooks for the 20 to 50 pounders.
No, definitely. And he brings up a good point. I think one of the things that we have talked about a few times is having a variety of hooks for a variety of situations, you know, whether they're heavy wire or light wire or circle hook or a J hook or ring hook or non-ring hooked. Obviously, it can get pretty crazy. You're going to need like 10 trays for all the different varieties. But yeah, just a number 2 or even like a 1 or a 1.0, you know, bronze, old style, 94, 150 style hook, you know, is fine. You know, when I go fishing on my 11-day trip and we fish down on the ridge, and those ridge fish are all kind of what you're talking about, 20 to 40 pound fish.
Yeah.
That's what I go through, because you're going to go through a lot of hooks down there, and so you don't really need to use your more expensive ring hook. So that's the size hook. I like using like a 1.0, a little bit bigger, but depending on your bait size too, that 2 would work as well if your bait's real small.
Steve Bermudez is taking offense to the way you described the white bait fish thing, so he has a retort to you.
Oh,
No, actually, he did. Steve says a great read is the book What Fish See, an in-depth examination by Dr. Colin Kajiyama of how and what fish see. I'll have to read that someday
Yeah, yeah.
when I.
one day, yeah.
Yeah, like,
Do they have it in audio version?
yeah. Can you read it to me, Steve? I think I could go to sleep with that at night. All right, the Terps, the red OGD8. I have one sold for $1,800.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, fishing rods and gear, in general has gone, to where some collectors of some stuff, will pay top dollar, and sometimes people they'll ask the same question, what is this worth? It's whatever someone's willing to pay, I guess, whether you're talking about fishing gear or cars or any kind of collectible, really, I mean, guys collect everything. So if it's something that you get 2 guys that want it real bad, and before you know it, yeah, you can get up to 1,800 bucks, I guess, yeah.
All right, great show so far. Thank you, Sam. Doing great. 90 plus people watching. Hit that like button. A reminder, the morning briefing tomorrow morning early for all of you. And just a quick rundown on the fishing up in the Channel Islands. The Aloha Spirit was 16 white sea bass to 55 pounds one day ago. That signal is looking very strong up there. There's excellent rock fishing. Quite a bit of halibut up there in that neck of the woods. But the breaking news here today is the Polaris Supreme with 100-plus bluefin tuna. Today, the Independence got in with 80 fish, and the fish have apparently moved closer to Point Loma. There's evidence of fish at 40 miles now, and there's fish all the way out to 60 miles. The spotter plane was up the other day. And I won't say where, I won't give any of that, but saw a lot of fish and a lot of big fish. So there's a lot of spots of bluefin around. They're moving closer to the point. The weather is going to be much nicer this weekend. The Pegasus goes tomorrow night on a one-day trip out of Fisherman's Landing. Sam, the stars are colliding, aren't they? It sounds good right now.
Definitely inevitable. I mean, this weather, like we were saying before, has got to end at some point. I mean, one guy was even telling me about how he was fishing on the Aloha Spirit up there, and one of the things that became not necessarily a nuisance, but maybe kind of a little extra that they were getting was barracuda up there.
Yeah, I saw those guys.
Yeah, I don't know if it's really related to any of this tuna stuff or anything like that, but all this stuff is real positive for us for sure.
One thing that Stephen from the Constitution said in the podcast that I'll run tomorrow, he said there's a lot more anchovy in the bait down in San Diego, which is that A-word thing that we're looking for, right? He said
Anchovy, yeah.
He's praying that he's saying like, I'm praying that we don't get too much anchovy because we need those deans to catch these big bluefin with. So God only knows how that's going to go. Joel Lopez, Joel's asking a question that you've already answered, but he's tuning in. So he says he's curious to hear, what are your favorite sea bass setups, rod and reel setups, and what technique works best for the elusive white sea bass? The joke always used to be when you were a deckhand that it's the guy that puts his rod and reel on clicker, goes in for a beer, and then all of a sudden,
That's how you hook them for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, rod and reel, 8 foot rod, 30 to 60, 30 to 80, depending on the brand. Your reel, actually, what we were just showing you earlier for a jig stick, I like something like this, a 20 size or a 16 size, or a Daiwa 35 would be good, loaded with some 65-pound braid or 80-pound braid, and maybe a 40-pound top shot, and if they're biting good, maybe even 50-pound. I know some of these fish have been on the bigger side. As far as a method or a technique, I mean, really, kind of go based on what the boat is directing you to do. But I know we've been selling a lot of this kind of stuff lately here. This is that fluke, white fluke with the get some head. That's been kind of a big deal in the white. And I was mentioning earlier in that blaze orange, kind of a popular color last year. I'm sure it'll work this year too. And that's kind of like the new stuff, but I would imagine the same old, half ounce, 3/4 ounce egg sinker with a big hook and a couple squid on it, boogered on there, I'm sure would work at times really good too. So I wouldn't get too technical on on having any specific lure. If you got live squid on the boat, that's that's going to be your best method for sure.
All right, Michael Rittner says he likes his 400D for the calicos.
Yeah, yeah, that's a newer Calcutta that kind of white in color, kind of looks similar to the Trinidad. So it's real similar to the old Calcutta Gold that they used to have, but it's a new style with the D. Real nice reel, but once again, I still kind of favor the low profile reels.
Is God calico back? You just don't hear like it
Not like
emphasized like
before.
it used to be
Right.
before. I think it's this bluefin thing, right? Or
That also too with this warm water that we've been having the last few years has
Yeah.
really kind of like puts a hurt on the kelp lines.
Yeah.
And so I think some of the areas that are more traditional, what we kind of think about, that big thick matted kelp and
Yeah.
the calicos coming through it or something like that. Also anchovy, we haven't had the anchovy to chum on them too. So there's a few factors that kind of make it easier for a boat to target those fish that we haven't had. And plus, this bluefin and also the good yellowtail fishing. I mean, me growing up, fishing locally, if you had a boat that caught 10 yellowtail, I mean, it'd be like front page news, Western
Big deal.
Outdoor News, big deal.
Yeah.
Not anymore, if you don't
I
catch
know.
catch 100 maybe or something, you might be on the
Right.
Western Outdoor News. So that just goes to show with kind of fishing we've had here the last couple of years, the last decade or so, it's been, mind blowing. Really, if you grew up when I did, it's just crazy to go out there and almost expect to catch not only catch yellowtail but catch several.
Yeah, right.
And big ones too. I mean, how many of those Farnsworth years did we have where? We had 7 or 8 boats parked over there, like
Yeah.
just wailing on the big
Big
yellows.
ones,
Yeah.
25 to 40-pound fish.
Day after day,
Yeah.
So maybe that's why people don't fish calico bass anymore.
Yeah, maybe, right? To use this. Sam, if you catch a yellowtail, I will put you on the cover of the morning briefing.
You got
it. All right. Travis Bright, who happens to be one of the nicest guys around. Phil, how about a fundraiser jackpot on your charters? Have a sponsor, provider gear, and charge 10 to. I like that. That's a good idea. Get a really valuable gift, and then we can put that money toward the Mexico thing, which I'm way behind in on the fundraising. Let me tell you, anybody wants to help, we would certainly accept your help. By the way, so thousands of items. I don't even know. Did you see the end result of how much stuff? I don't know if I sent you the video. It's ridiculous. So much, and it's all in Diego's parents' house
Man.
in Ensenada, and I was in his parents' house. Honest to God, they must be like, that place has got to
Swimming in
be
it.
full. Yeah, it's got to be so full. So we're in the process. Diego's on Hurricane Bank right now. I mentioned
Yeah.
they had a 302, a
Getting them.
275.
I saw a picture today. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
big
they're
one.
doing really good. And then when he gets back, we're going to get this stuff to Cedros. Anybody would like to help on that, 657-227-6459. We would love it if you would. Steve Ramirez says, Scott thinks he's going to be out of a job if AI doesn't take over the world.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what they're talking about, that AI stuff.
Yeah.
Get scared. I
Yeah.
don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know either. It is kind of like turning into like there's some old movies and stuff and
Yeah. I'm sure it'll be interesting before it's scary. So I don't know. I feel like that's kind of hopefully going to be past our
here's
time.
what this is a fishing show, but here's what I don't get. So Elon Musk is saying like we need to put limitations on this until we figure it out, right? So here's what I don't get. You think the Chinese are going to put limitations on it? So if we put limitations on it, you think they're going to slow down their AI research? I don't know. I think the genie's out of the bottle, and
Yeah.
who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not that scared of it right now. Yeah.
Yeah, me either.
I'm not going to pay attention to that.
All right, Travis, great idea. And Steve, absolutely right. Sarkis, hello, gentlemen. How big of a bluefin or yellowtail can I get away with using the new Penn Fathom 40 LD 2-speed? So how big a bluefin or yellowtail, I think he said.
Well, yellowtail probably any
Or
size.
he's saying yellowtail tuna. He might mean a yellowfin tuna. Yeah.
I would say, how big can I get away with? I don't know, 1,000 pounds. Get lucky, that thing swims right to the boat, maybe. Unfortunately, we don't have a reading of fish size. That's kind of how we want to look at it. Is if they're catching 100-pounders, will this gear handle it? At times, yes. But I would say on that size reel, comfortably, I would say 125-pound fish, no problem. Once you start getting into that 150 to 200-pound size, not that it's a problem for the reel, but because it is a lighter duty reel, you might find that a bigger reel, like we were talking about, this Macara 16 or International 16 or bigger, same size fish, you'd be able to land it quicker, which would really result in not necessarily making it so you land more fish, but that on that specific fish gets it out of the water before it can get into danger of a tangle or rubbing on the boat or things like that. So the reel will probably be fine. If you lose, if you hook a big fish, it's really being on it longer that will kind of introduce it to possibly something happening that might allow that fish to get away. But the reel itself, I would say up to 150, that's a big tuna.
Yeah, right.
150 pounder is a big fish.
Yeah.
For that size of reel, which is basically the size of a 4.0 narrow actually, and so I wouldn't be concerned if those fish are up to 150. You're probably okay, but once you start catching a 150 pounder, that's the other part of it too. Some of these schools, yeah, they're catching 20 to 40 pounds, size fish, but at any moment you can hook a 250 pounder.
Yeah.
So
And they've been doing that actually.
Yeah.
There's that aberrational 150, 200-pound fish mixed with that small grade.
Yeah, and it's not like yellowfin. Where yellowfin, I don't know what the state record is, but I mean you can probably count them on one hand. The number of 100-pound yellowfin that have been caught in California waters probably
Definitely.
very very little, right?
Yeah.
And how many have we caught? Tens of millions of yellowfin, but none of them are big. So with the yellowfin, you can kind of predict that it's not going to be over a certain size. With this bluefin,
No, there's no
you just
predicting.
don't know. So that's really where the danger comes in, is that on any
Right.
given trip, there could be 200 pounders everywhere, and now you're a little undergunned. So that's the hard part about trying
Better
to
to be
make a
over
recommendation.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't want to hook that 250 pounder and then blow it because you're fishing light tackle.
Right.
I told you I go through that with Scott 43 times a day, and I keep telling him, fish heavy, dude.
Fish heavy. If you
Just-
got it, fish heavy. If you
Yeah.
don't have it, rent it or borrow it or something.
Yeah, definitely. Daniel says he's looking for a 130 Shimano. Wants to know if you have them in stock.
I do not. I think he's talking about a Tiagra, possibly.
I think so.
Yeah, I'd have to order it, and I'd have to see if they even have it in stock at Shimano, but I don't have it in stock.
All right, Brandon, the corpse is clarifying. Steve said the white line is the best. Oh, this is what he's talking about. Steve said the white line is the best because of the ultraviolet stuff, Sam and Phil. Now all my reels are multicolored
Oh,
spectra.
No, yeah.
What am I going to do?
But that multicolored is for nighttime fishing, where color doesn't even matter, But that white spectra is kind of more of a fly line thing. And even then at that, I would say because we're using fluorocarbon leader or a top shot of some sort, it's so far, your hook's so far away from your spectra that it shouldn't be really a big concern. But that multicolor stuff is mostly nighttime stuff. Deep water, 300, 400 feet down. And so I wouldn't worry about that.
All right, tons of people watching. Can you see how many people are watching right now?
20.
It was 105 a second
88
ago.
it says here.
88. All right, I don't know why my computer's not giving me the number anymore.
5 on yours.
Hey, everybody, and hit that like button. We'd appreciate it if you would do that. All right, so we got that now. Blake Tyler says, Team 7X. You like 7X. Worm King Swim Baits just threw us a $10 bill, Sam.
There you
That's
go.
the number one fan. Fish, you're number one. We are so proud and happy to be working with you on this big surf fishing tournament. The way Chuck and I had it going at first, it was a little bit off, and
A few holes.
that fish goes, wait a minute, yeah, and
What
we
about
go, oh
this?
yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's not going to work. So it's good to have him, and his stuff, Worm King stuff, looks really good. Dave Clark, Sam, do you guys weld new rings and treble hooks on an old iron?
All the time, yeah. Yeah, we have all the stuff here. We have the hooks, we have the flux, the solder, and it's something we do all the time, yeah.
Alan R. says, Sam Shops is awesome. How did you get started? A real lapse in judgment, right?
Yeah, yeah. Lost the bet.
Same way I got into this business. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, I got to thank my kids, to be honest with you. 9 years ago, a little over 9 years ago, when me and my now wife, found out we were having a baby, it was kind of one of those moments in which, I just said, well, I've always thought I can do this, but if I'm ever going to do it, now is the time.
Yeah.
Now is the time. And, I will say that if it wasn't for Diego coming along and on his way, I may have never been motivated to that much. I've, really changed my life and how kids do.
Yep.
Change your life. But that was one of the things that motivated me to try this out. And so So I got to thank him for that. But it's been a crazy ride. We've been so lucky. We opened the shop up, and by the grace of God, and and like I said, Diego may have just been the good luck charm that the fishing just turned into like this crazy,
Yeah.
crazy situation. I mean, I tell a lot of people that just been so lucky. We opened up the shop, and literally 2 weeks after we opened the shop, full speed, 40-pound yellowtail on the horseshoe kelp.
Wow.
I mean, full speed. I'm not talking they caught 5 or 6. I mean, they're catching 40, 50, 60 big yellows on the half day boat.
Yeah, that sounds like Diego had his hand in that one.
I'm telling you, I mean, it's one of those things where there's no way anybody could have ever predicted that.
right.
There's no way. So, I've been lucky ever since, and there's always seems to be something that's come our way, and we've just been so lucky. So, I mean, that really was kind of how it all started.
That's beautiful. Yeah, and now you built this thing into one of the premier shops in the state, and I have no hesitation sending people here. And I have to
Yeah.
be careful. I have to be careful. And when I go, hey, you're going to walk in that front door, someone's going to say, hey, can I help you, or have you been helped? And
Yeah.
I forget. I was talking to somebody today about it.
Yeah.
Go see Sam. He'll take good care of you.
Yeah, and that's our whole deal. I mean, we're really just, it doesn't really take a lot of effort to do your best to help somebody out. And I think maybe for some people that's hard. It could be that, it having a bad day or whatever the case may be makes it hard for them to do the right thing. But I'm so fortunate to have a job that allows me to help people all the time. And so that's the other thing too. You just get in that mindset where your number one goal is to help the next person that comes through the door.
Yeah.
And so you get that all day long. So I feel real fortunate actually that guys come for help and we're able to help them.
All right, beautiful. 92 people watching. I got it back again. I figured it out.
Stop me talking for a little bit. Yeah.
81 minutes we started ago. Time is flying by here tonight. And we still have a ton of questions on there, including Steve Bermudez, who's fixated on the color of fishing line and continues with the color of your bait or lure. Oh, with white on it is a very good choice. It shouldn't make a difference about the line because usually you're using some sort of leader, hopefully fluorocarbon, to the hook. That makes
That's
sense.
kind of what we're talking about. Yeah, that spectra's so far away from your hook, and your bait, you should be all right.
Can you look out there and tell Brandon not to do anything rash with the
No, bring it all in. We'll change it out. Yeah.
Well, we'll put white. Yeah. I'll take a pencil and I'll make it white for $250.
White out.
Yeah, white out. Bring it on in. I'll be happy to do it. Steve Bermuda says, but tequila is best.
It is.
Yes.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
Christopher Bailey, good evening. Phil and Sam. Christopher, good to have you with us. Here's Brandon back again. Stars are aligning, Phil, not colliding. You silly goose. That's the saying. Okay.
Did you say colliding?
Probably. I'm lucky I'm able to talk.
Sanity's colliding.
Yeah, I've been good. Exactly. All right. Face too much OG. In my opinion, everything is a reaction bite. So if the bait or lure swims right, it just gets bit. Doesn't matter if it's got a 10-0 hook and 300-pound mono or a size 4 hook and 20-pound and rainbow braid. What do you think about that? Reaction bite?
At times, I don't know how many times you've seen it where you cast the bait out and the fish boils on your bait like 3 or 4 times, or comes up and like looks at it almost, and swims away.
Yeah, like what the hell?
Yeah, you're like, what the heck? That thing I just saw it eat like 4 baits in a row out of the guys,
Something's weird with my bait.
Something going wrong.
My tackle.
I get a feeling that what ends up happening is that by nature, tuna or any of these game fish, they have certain receptors, in their brain that kind of tells them, eat everything in the water. I mean, everything in the water they're going to eat. That's a wide open bite, right?
Yeah.
80-pound test right in the corner. They're eating everything in the water.
Stomp on a bait, toss it out there. They'll
no
bite
matter.
it.
Bare hook, right?
Yeah.
Candy wrapper stuff, right?
Yeah.
And there's times where they're boiling on every single chum bait and will not bite one hooked bait. So I got to imagine that at that point, they're still having that natural reaction to the bait that they got to go boil on it. But there's something in their brain that makes it just stop swimming right at that moment where they're going to eat your bait. So I don't know if it's something that has to do with their health or their digestion, where they are as AI, huh?
AI. We're being attacked. Arnold Schwarzenegger is back as the Terminator.
It's got to be something going on in their brain that tells them, a split second almost. They almost got their mouth open and they don't eat it, So So yeah, it is a reaction bite at times. They're going to eat everything in the water.
Yeah.
And there's times where you can't make them eat anything.
Joel Lopez has a really good question. Really good, Joel. Thank you for asking this. So he says he went 0 for 2 with big fish near structure. What's the best way to fight a fish by a reef? Up close to the kelp lines, what's the balance from letting it go, get its initial run, and pulling hard? Because I've had I like to pull as hard as I can pull. I don't want to step on the tacos.
Yeah, man.
I like to pull as hard as I can. But I've heard, like, I think it was Tom Durer tell me that,
Free spool of thing.
yeah, and then they
I've heard
don't
that
feel
too.
the need to run into the
Yeah,
reef.
yeah.
What do you think?
I've heard that from lots of captains. So I got to imagine that to some degree that probably true at times. Something you might want to try. It's so tough when you only hook 2 fish. You go 0 for 2. You don't have any more opportunities to try something different. But yeah, I mean, pulling hard, using heavier line. That's one of the things you can do. And sometimes, to be quite honest with you, you just ain't gonna win. There's gonna be times where the fish, they're just gonna beat you. You go fishing down in Baja, fish those grouper in tightened structure, or even up close here, fishing pilings for these spotted bay bass. There's just times where you just ain't gonna win because they won't bite heavy line. The best I can tell you is maybe try that what Phil was just mentioning. Is right when you hook the fish, is free spool it and see if it'll swim away from the structure and get to where you can pull on them real hard before they go back in. I got to imagine that fish in general, especially if they live anywhere near a structure, they're doing it for 2 reasons. One is to feed, so they can ambush food, and also to stay alive, so they don't get eaten. And so I think that their natural reaction is to go back to that safety spot. So the further away you can get them to swim, the better. But I would imagine half the time that you free spool them, they're going to swim back in the structure anyway. You got no chance. So
Yeah, right. I
You
mean,
know,
I always feel like if you freeze, well, then you're just giving them their ticket to freedom.
yeah,
It's
but
a hard one.
it's a hard
It's
one.
a good question.
No easy
Joel.
answer.
Right. Rocket Dog Tackle Shop Confessions. I love the name. I kind of like it too.
Yeah,
Right?
we're working.
Yeah, we'll have to get that nun walking up and down the beach again. Hugo Jen, great show. Senora Sam, what setup do you recommend for 200-pound tuna? Shimano Talica 25 or Penn International 16? Mil gracias,
Yeah.
says
So
Hugo.
pretty equal on the reels. Once again, like I was mentioning before, the International is part of a large family or a family of larger reels. So I kind of err towards that side on the on between those two. But if at all possible, if you can get even larger reel like a International 20 or 30, that'd probably be the way I would go. I personally would. I have a 30 International myself. That's exactly what I would use. If you don't have one and you're looking to buy one, I know the 16 seems like it's a lot easier to handle, but if you can stretch yourself a little bit and fish that 30 or buy that 30, I think that's the right size reel if you could.
All right, Jorge Bocanegra. Do you know Jorge? Yeah, you might.
I'm sure if I
Super
saw my
nice guy.
face.
Super
Okay.
nice guy.
Yeah.
He says hi. Tim Marquez. I have a Talica 22 with 100-pound. What do you suggest for my next biggest rod and reel for the really big bluefin tuna?
I like that myself, that International 30 and a United Composites Invictus. Real simple. I mean, there's a ton of rods out there, but if I was just going to choose one, you might want to check that one out. In fact, actually, I think we're out of stock on those right now. We might have one left, but now that this big fish is starting to show up, this big rods and reels are starting to get hot again. So, but yeah, check that out. That International 30 I like a lot. But also the Makara 20. I'm going to kind of fudge a little bit here and say maybe there's a 20 as well if you're into that, into the Akumas. But I like the International 30. And then that Invictus from United Composites, but also even the Viper. Check out that Viper. All right.
All right. Over 100 people watching the show now. We've had that
Look at
going
that.
on for quite some time. Thank you all so very much. Share this show with a friend right now. Let them know what's going on. Steve Bermuda says, damn bluefin tuna. Come on, albacore. Joel Lopez, thank you guys for answering all the questions. Rick Slater, hey, great show. How is the rental gear for bluefin? Have old gear that works. I'm retired. Should upgrade or refresh?
Well, the rental gear down in San Diego,
It's got to be good, right?
100%.
Yeah.
But I know we were checking out the stuff at 22nd Street Landing the other day.
It's good, right? Oh, I
Good
thought you
too.
were going to say something and get Mike Morrison calling in here. They look good, right? It's all Penn Fathoms, I think, wasn't it?
Fathoms, I think they had some Avets, some
Yeah, they
larger
did.
Avets.
That's right. Yeah,
So most landings have gotten with it.
yeah. They can't
You know.
afford to screw that part of it up. And if they got to charge a little more, what's the rental of one of those things cost for a day? $50? $100?
I think it's more. I think it's about $100,
yeah.
depending on the rig and the landing. I think, but well worth it. I mean, most of those outfits that they're renting you are probably $600, $700, $800,
At least, right? Yeah.
and so $100 isn't bad to me.
No.
So, but
Yep.
if you're looking for something to buy, not sure what you have as far as your old stuff, but I know a lot of guys mentioned in these videos here, the questions that you see posted is that Fathom 40, still probably one of the hottest reels. I'll go grab it in a second, but one of the hottest reels that you can get for the money. Pretty good reel. I'd start with that for sure.
All right, perfect. Hey, hit that like button, everybody. Thank you so much. Sam's going to run off for a second. Let's see. Droopy's Fishing Channel. This year, I promised to fish lures only, no live bait at all, so I need to master the jig. Hey, fishing the iron, there's nothing like it, and there's no way to master it better than to do exactly what you're doing. Excuse me. That's just committing to fishing the iron and going with that day in and day out. And man, you will learn so much about how to fish the iron. It's that repetitiveness, that constant doing it over and over and over again that not only makes you a better jig fisherman, makes you a better piano player, makes you better at everything. You know, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. So you're on the right track. I'll tell you that right now. Cue Ball says these fish are mean as hell. You want all the gear you can get away with. They are savage, Sam.
They are
Are they?
savage.
Savage.
So here's some of these Penn reels here. You need to call Penn and get you on the sponsorship here, man.
Yeah, I know. What's the deal, man?
So these are the Fathom. This is an older Fathom. I couldn't find one of the newer ones there. One of the guys must have moved it. I couldn't locate it. But
Look what I'm doing.
number 2, huh?
Yeah.
Jeez, you're gonna be up late. This is the 60, and here's the 80. But these family of reels here from Penn. I mean, they've been the producers of a lot of fish over 100 pounds. I know some of the landings still use them for their rentals, and so you can only imagine the beating they take, as a rental reel.
Yeah.
But they've been doing really good.
They hold up good.
They hold up. The price is great on them.
Economical, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're like $340 to $350 or something like that. Which
That's hard to beat.
It's almost kind of hard. You almost have to think, okay, that's the right price, because it's so affordable. Most
Yeah.
of the reels this size that we were talking about, the other reels there, they're
Five
$600,
something,
$700.
six, yeah.
So they're literally half the price.
Yeah.
So that might be something you might want to check out.
And are they half the quality?
No
way, right?
No, yeah. So that's one of the questions too that I get asked quite a bit is, this one costs this much and this one costs twice as much. Like why would I buy that? Well, like a lot of other things, cars or anything else, is it costs twice as much to make a reel that's potentially 25% better. But for some guys, they want the best, they want the biggest, they want the smoothest or whatever it is. And so that's just what it costs. And the guys who buy that high-end stuff, that's just how they are. They want the best,
Yeah.
And if you do it a lot, like for me, I go fishing quite a bit, and some of the guys, a lot of my customers go fishing quite a bit. So they want whatever's the best gear to last them, and to be able to be something they can rely on. And so they say, well, I'll just go ahead and buy the best one you got. So we do sell a lot of those reels, but these Fathoms just in units, just because of the price, we sell tons of them.
Friedman Adventures live here at Island Fishing Tackle in Carson, California. Sam, address and phone number here.
We are at 21809 Avalon Boulevard in the city of Carson. Phone number here is 708-1205.
I don't know my number. What are you talking about? You want one of these?
One of those here. Yeah. We're open 6 days a week.
Closed on Sundays, right?
6 days a week, closed on Sundays from 10 to 6.
Right. Except May 19th when you're opening at 5 a.m.
Except for that day, yeah, for check-in.
That's
yeah.
our surf fishing
I
tournament.
bet you 100% we're going to get people at like 6 o'clock in the morning.
You think?
I just know it.
Yeah. All right, let's keep this rocking and rolling. Hit that like button, everybody. 106 people, 107 people watching. The crowd is building, Sam. We've got people in Missouri. We've got
Missouri.
people in Taiwan. We've got my brother. He watches from Taiwan.
Oh, okay.
We've got people.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, right? We've got people. Where else? San Francisco, all over the place. So we can't thank you enough for that. All right. I want to ask you a question before Christopher has a good question.
One quick thing. I
Yeah,
did
go
mess
ahead.
up the phone number. I don't know. It got
Yeah.
scrambled in my head.
Go ahead.
707-1205.
All right. 707-1205.
205. Yeah, I was like, 708? That don't sound right.
Can you yo-yo for yellowtail using a knife jig?
yeah, I don't
I
see
mean,
why
do they
not.
work? Does it
I'm
work?
sure it does. In fact, right after the show, actually, right even during the show, at Del Mar. So at the Del Mar show, I had a group of guys that came through, guys from Ensenada, and they were going to fish Loretto for yellowtail. Wintertime yellowtail, and a lot of that fishing is down deep on
Yeah,
the
it
bottom,
is.
right? And so they bought some 6X juniors, 6Xs, your normal, yellowtail, stuff. But they also bought some knife jigs, and I asked them, I said, "Oh, you guys, what are you guys catching tuna over there?" He's like, "No, yellowtail, love these things, knife jigs." And I was like, "How do you fish them?" He's like, "It's the same as these 6X juniors." He says that
Drop them deep, wind on them
yeah,
fast.
they just sink a little bit faster, and that's
Yeah.
what they wanted. Is that there are times where
Wind and current.
even down there, they get a situation where it might be calm on top, but there's a ton of current.
Yeah.
And so they need to get something that'll get down. And so they say, yeah, they use them just the same as a regular 6X junior, and they catch nice yellowtail on them.
Yeah, my brother and I used to drive to Laredo every Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
and we'd go down there, and you'd run into some windy weather down there
Sometimes.
at times. So we'd go up north, Pulpito Reef area, and fish deep, man, and catch nice big grade yellows up
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
there. I'm gonna have to try that. So Christopher Bailey says, Sam, I have been having some success jigging mustad rip rollers for yellowtail, but I'm getting bent hooks. What hook would you suggest for replacing the hooks on that particular jig? Does that surprise you that he's getting that?
No, yeah, those rip rollers come with a relatively light duty hook, really almost like for a rockfish.
Yeah.
But we have a huge variety of assist hooks here, everything from Gamakatsu to Owner, Mustad, BKK, Tatty, a whole bunch of, I'll go grab a couple stuff that I would recommend that you put on there for yellowtail especially. You don't have to go super crazy heavy duty.
You're talking about just the hooks, right?
Yeah, and just even just jigging hooks, really.
Hey, I got a question for all of you who are listening. Can you hear Sam when he's talking off way over in that direction? Just give me a yes or a no. Sam, say something.
Yo,
Sam, are you going to have any more tacos
I'm going to have them all.
when we're done with the show? or-
Yeah.
All right, Sam is back. He'll show you some of those.
So here's a BKK light jigging hook. If you have a lighter jig or smaller jig, this might be pretty good. I was actually using a hook just like this on my 11-day last year. We stopped at Natividad, and we were catching not giants, but nice size 15 to 20 pound yellowtail, and we were using jigging rods with those knife jigs, slow pitch stuff, and it was hooked just like this. It was working really good. They make these super heavy duty jigging hooks. This is kind of more your tuna, big tuna stuff. From BKK. I don't think you need anything like this, but I'm sure it wouldn't hurt either. I'd probably go with the lighter stuff. Tatty has these double, kind of like 2-in-1 type of deals. I like these a lot. Mainly one of the big features of these is that they come with stranded wire inside the rope. So nothing that you would need for yellowtail specifically, but something that would be nice as a double duty for yellowtail and for tuna. And then in the mustad here, we have these guys here, which are more on the tuna side. But as you can see, this guy here is kind of a little shorter and smaller. I'd probably go with like this style of hook here for your yellowtail, and then this is more your tuna size.
All right, excellent
All right.
stuff. Beautiful. 117 people watching right now. As more and more people are joining us, that's great news. Let me just give you a quick fishing update for some of you coming on late. Number one, there seems to be a sea bass bite trying to take hold up there in the Channel Islands. Really nice score on the Aloha Spirit a day ago with 16 white sea bass to 55 pounds. This is your chance to eat a taco, by the way. That's why I'm doing this. And great rock fishing, some beautiful lings up there. Fishing in general is good, and there's been some big halibut. And those white flukes that you might see there on the table, those have been really, really effective on the white sea bass and the halibut. So that is something to keep in mind. Now, as we've been telling you here tonight, Those bluefin are back on the bite. Polaris Supreme with over $1 on the bluefin tuna. Well over 100 fish for them. The Independent's back in today with 80 something. Scott Buchert has jumped on the Old Glory. That's evidence that this bite is ready to break open. And I have it from a very good source, my friends, that there are bluefin as close as 40 miles from Point Loma. So those day guys should get a shot at it. And the San Diego and the Grande and maybe the Mission Bell, they're all going to be running on that fish. Today's Wednesday? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Booger's going tomorrow. Those guys are going tomorrow. So watch to see if they catch. And, of course, I'll be on the air early tomorrow with the morning briefing. That should be fantastic. I really think this thing is getting ready to take off. All right, let's see. Where am I here? Okay, Dansky says, is a Pin 42 speed a reliable 100-pound setup, or is it too light?
A little bit light. You know, it's definitely pushing its limits. I mean, I know a lot of guys have used it with a 100-pound and had some success. So when we talk 100-pound test, you know, we use a 100-pound regularly with these big tuna. And a 100-pound doesn't necessarily tell the whole story. You know, we may fish in 100-pound and catching 60 or 80-pound fish. So not the same thing as using 100-pound and catching a 250-pound fish. And 100-pound would work for both. So that 100-pound, in my opinion, when you're saying, you know, when you're asking about a rating or is it good enough, when you pose that question to me, on a 100-pound test reel is more like the International 30, you know, or a Makira 20 or Makira 30. So, you know, reliable is a word that could be a little dangerous. You know, you're talking, you want to be liable, you know, for that.
Yeah,
reliable.
Right.
You know, it's in my opinion, yeah, you're stretching the limits of that reel for sure, as far as reliability of that really making it happen. But also, once again, it really depends on the fish that you got on the other end of the line too.
Excellent stuff. Cue Ball says WFO. Sam, we have a ton of questions to go. So enjoy your taco because you're not going to have dinner anywhere else. Dave Clark sends us $10 and says, Viva Mexico. Dave, thank you so much. That means a lot to both Sam and I. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Let's see. And that's the first super chat from Dave Clark. So, man, that is deeply appreciated. Thank you so much. Jeff says, good evening, Phil and Sam from the 540 Slingers Club. It's always great to see Jeff. I think he's on his dinner break right now, and then he watches the rest of the show tomorrow. Jorge Bocanegra, can Sam... Hold on. I think he asked that question later. Predators 100. Excuse me. Face too much OG. The bait that got boiled on swam right with the one with the hook on it. Didn't that why it got bit? Isn't that why it got bit? Did you understand that?
All right.
Huh?
I don't know. So I'm right. The
bait that got boiled on swam right. Oh, I got it.
The one with the hook didn't.
Yeah, there you go.
Nah.
No?
Nah.
I mean, that makes some sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean...
It's more natural, the bait without a hook in it.
You can't, yeah, but I'm saying is, sometimes you just ain't going to make them bite.
I gotcha.
Yeah, so there's really no science to it in that way where you can just look in the water and say, well, I'm not going to fish today because I'm not going to get a bite. You got to go fishing and try.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, to a degree, yeah, I see what you're saying. That's why I didn't want to eat it. But there are times, same bait, same hook, same line, maybe even line that's 100-pound test, they're going to eat it right in the corner.
Right.
So a lot of it has to do with the fish itself on that specific instance where they just ain't going to eat nothing with a hook in it.
Right. Very good. Cue Ball says that's the result of boat pressure.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sam, is 300 yards of any pound test braid be the bare minimum you would fish on any reel? Tony's asking that.
Yeah, not necessarily. If you don't need a lot of line, like I know a lot of guys fish, let's say down at, let's say Bay of LA, guys are fishing for those cabrilla, and they need a real small reel to be able to cast some of those crankbaits that they fish, those jerk baits. And so they don't need a lot of line. They're going to have 100 yards of 80-pound braid, and they just need strong line to be able to pull those big cabrilla out of the structure, like we were just talking about fishing structure.
Yeah.
And so they don't really care about the fish taking a long run. You're going to hook that fish 25 feet away from its home, So as long as you have more than 25 feet of line after your cast, you got enough line.
Yeah.
And so it really depends. Yeah, 300 yards would be the minimum, I would say, for like, your all around, tackle situation. You're talking big fish that might take a long run. I probably would prefer, closer to 450 to 500 yards as a bare minimum. But it really does depend on what you're doing. Yellowtail fishing, you don't need a lot of line. They're not going to spoil you really, unless maybe a kelp patty fish or something like that. But even then, they're going to swim straight to the kelp patty. So it really does depend on what you're doing.
All right, sounds good. Jorge Bocanegra, can Sam talk about the quick change pit system he uses for the heavy lures?
I think what we're talking about is using the split ring
Uh-huh.
deal here. So I think we did do a video on that. I'll go grab the pieces.
Yeah, and you can also search for that video. It's one of those 1,000 videos that we put up over the last, and I'm going to do a better job of organizing our videos.
Yeah,
but
right.
most of the time, thanks, Sam. You were supposed to say, no, you do a great job. And I will do that as soon as I find an extra minute or two. But you can search in there, and then Sam's going to come and show you that right now. Jorge. And I am going to remind you all that the morning briefing will be on tomorrow morning, bright and early. I try to get that. I'm usually out there at daybreak, but it takes a little while to edit it, add some stuff to it, some photos to make it more interesting for you. And then I try to get it up by 7:30, 8 in the morning to give you a nice idea of what is going on. Things change during the daytime, and we'll be updating that for you also. All right, Sam is back. Hey, this might be my chance to eat one more of these.
There you go, man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna kind of take apart this lure that we kind of put together the other day. But the whole idea with this here, and actually, right behind you there,
Sure.
we have
What do you need?
that jig bag there.
Okay.
But get this out for you. Oops. You broke it. So the whole idea is, reasons. First is if you're fishing and the or something like that, you want to be able to change quickly. The other part of it too is that, as we start getting a lot of lures, we want to be able to keep our tackle organized. And so we did a video on here on with Phil here, and we were talking about changing the way we do it. Back before, what we used to do is we would get the jig, your knife jig or a flat fall jig, and we would put a big hook on it. A big Jobu hook or a Mustat 7691, 80, 90, even a 10 hook, depending on the jig size. Weld it on. We weld it on the bottom, and then we would crimp a 200-pound leader to the top, and lots of fish were caught. So if you have that system, and it's something that you're comfortable with, it still works.
Still good?
It still catches fish.
Yeah.
One of the things that we found is that in the beginning, guys had 1 or 2, maybe 3 of these jigs in their tackle box. So guys would put them in like a Ziploc bag to kind of keep the leader and the jig contained. But after a while, man, we got like 30 jigs, and
I'm slopping food all over myself.
and then we got knife jigs, and we got butterfly jigs, and then they got the all kinds of brands, between Williamson jigs and Nomad jigs and Rip Rollers and Dawa SK jigs and
Yeah.
you name it, right? So there's a ton of jigs. So well, it was like if you had 30, 40 jigs and you had all these leaders on them, the leaders would get all tangled up because the stuff it's going to have some memory. This heavy line is just naturally going to have some memory in it. So all these leaders would get messed up. And I think we even in the video that we did, basically, pulled out a box of jigs that a customer had brought by.
It was a mess.
And it was a mess. But that was it. Nothing to do with the customer. It's just the nature of the leaders. It's just the way they're going to get all tangled up within the hooks. So what we were showing there is this jig bag here. And this, for a lot of guys, that have been doing it for a while, might only be, half of their jigs. They might have twice this many or even more. And so if you could imagine this whole bag, it's not even full here. I got a few open spots, but, we could have some hooks on them and such like that. But if this is a lot cleaner than what we showed on that video of that big tangled mesh,
Right.
So,
way cleaner.
Yeah. And
In fact, after we did that video, those things started to sell, didn't
crazy.
they? Yeah.
Crazy. We sold so many of these things, and I'm sure Nomad owes me a few bucks for that too, man. God damn, we gotta figure that out.
Yeah. Come on.
But
We got people on here asking when we're going to get sponsorship from Monster.
There you
Travis
go, man.
Bryant. Yeah, Travis, you're right.
So one of the things that we started doing, and it's nothing that we invented. We weren't the first shop to do it. A lot of the other shops did it, and they keep doing it. And it's something that has come from a lot of guys that had already figured it out. So all we did was kind of bring it into our shop, and we wanted to talk about it.
Right.
You know, and it wasn't, like I said, nothing that we invented. But so we started talking about it on the video, and what we have is a heavy duty is a 200-pound mono leader, heavy duty 400-pound swivel, and a heavy duty 300-pound split ring. All heavy duty stuff, nothing that you should be worried about breaking or anything like that on the fish that we're using. You know, these reels, when we have them set to even at full, might only be at about 35, 40 pounds of drag. So all this connection gear, the hardware should be more than plenty. And as far as the leader itself, the reason that we're using 200-pound isn't because any of us can break 200-pound tests. There's not one of us listening here that can do that. But because of the teeth that these bluefin tuna have, they even have more teeth than a yellowfin does. And if you get one of those big bluefin and they start those real hard head shakes, they can start, you know, chafing through your leader. So this 200-pound leader gave you basically a lot more insurance for that. So what we did is that we took that split ring and opened it up with our split ring plier. I should be using that toy plier that we were talking about.
Yeah, you should.
I already had this one open.
What's his name? What was that guy's name?
His name is Warren Toit.
Warren, yeah,
DuToit,
nice guy.
Super nice guy. And so we would set up our rod, we tie our line to the swivel, and then have the hook or the assist hook here inside the split ring, just like that. And then that was down on your reel. So basically ready to go. And all you would have to do is when the fishing would start, you know, and let's say you talk to a crew member and you show them your jigs from your jig bag and they tell you, man, this is the one here. Yeah, yesterday the guys were catching them on this jig here, you know. So now all you got to do to be ready once the boat starts locating fish is you would take your split ring and just basically attach your jig to it, you know. Pretty simple and quick, as you can see, and you're ready to fish, you know.
That's fast.
And you're ready to go.
Yeah.
And so as you can see, if you had to change your jig, you would take your split ring plier, open it up, and you are good to go. That jig's off, you grab your next one, put it on, and now you change your color. Maybe after a half an hour you saw 2 or 3 fish, you know, be caught on this other jig, you know, and you happen to have one like it, you can switch it out real quick. So that in a nutshell is kind of the system there. It makes it real easy. You only got to carry around 3 or 4 of these guys for
And
one
you're
trip.
set, man.
You're set. You know, even if you got 100 jigs,
Right.
you know, you're just not going to go through this many in one trip. You shouldn't, at least, you know. So you take a few extras, but 3 or 4 I think would be more than plenty.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Sam. Good question. Thank you so much, Jorge. Hey, before we go any further with the questions that I see here, I see the Mad Max there. There was a gentleman who said, how do you rig a Mad Mac on our YouTube channel today? I'm hoping he's watching. And if he's not, he can go back and watch this.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the first thing, no matter how you attach a leader, is going to be attaching this treble hook. Now you want to use the appropriate size. This is about the right size here. 5.0 is a 5.0 owner, and
So you're changing the hooks out.
just the back hook.
Okay.
Now some guys did try changing the front hook, but they found that it didn't swim right if they changed the front hook or if they took it off. It seems like this kind of almost acted like a rudder.
Oh, okay.
Of some sort, you know. So I couldn't give you the exact science of that, but
It works.
it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we've decided at the moment is the best way to do that. So this is going to be a 5.0 from owner, and also too, I think this is also a 5.0 on this guy here too. But so that's an easy one there. The one thing that guys ask me too is, what split ring do I use? And actually, the split ring that comes on the jig already
Is okay?
is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, real good. Yeah. So I wouldn't be concerned about trying to find a new split ring. It's a pretty heavy duty split ring from Nomad, no problem there. The other question is, you know, leader size here. Now, we've rigged up a ton of these Nomads with just a crimped leader, similar to what you use in the knife jigs, you know, 3 to 5 feet. Although it seems like the guys in Ensenada prefer even a 6-foot leader. I don't know if there's some reason to go longer, but it seems like they feel like the longer leader helps the jig stay in the water. Maybe a little bit of friction is helping to stay down in the water better. Because that's really the problem is also too is that these jigs, when they start trolling them real fast, they get to 16, 18, even 20 knots.
Yeah.
They start jumping out of the water, and unfortunately, what happens is that they'll jump out of the water and go over the other jig. You get a big tangled mess.
Yeah.
So, so that's one way we do it there. It's crimped right to the ring on there on the jig. Now, locally, a lot of guys have found that if they're having trouble keeping the jig in the water, is that they'll tie directly to the ring. 150 pound, even 130 pound being real common, making the adjustment, just the San Diego knot there, and then right to the swivel as well, same kind of deal. Still changing the hook out, and the reason for that, I kind of glossed over it, but one of the problems that they were having is that, and once again, I was talking about those head shakes on the bluefin, and more than even any other tuna that I've ever had is it's a violent head shake.
Yeah.
Big, heavy head shake. I mean, you'll have the rod just jackhammer like 10 or 12 times at times, And what's happening when they do that is that just when the head goes back, they're causing just enough slack where the single hook will just basically slip out, and it doesn't seem like you're doing anything wrong, and you're not. Nothing you could do. You're just holding on for dear life, and they'll come off. So they seem like these treble hooks just have maybe 2 hooks in them, and they have a harder time shaking them. So that's the reason why you want to put the treble hook on there, just to keep the fish pinned.
All right, perfect. Maximum effective trolling speed. What is too much? What do you think is 15?
You know what? And it's something that it's a hard answer. It seems like from the customers that I get in here, I get guys that do really well at 10 to 12 knots, and I get guys that do really well at 15 to 16 knots. And I try to ask, what do you think is the difference? And the one thing I have gotten is I have a few customers that run other people's boats, and it seems like from what they tell me is that a few things happen. First, it seems like every boat has a different so that boat weight might be affecting how that jig stays in the water. So you might want to experiment with how fast you're going, with how far back you're going, to help keep the jig in the water. It seems like the answer is almost go as fast as you can
With keeping the
jig in the water.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems to be the easiest answer. But even those guys have told me that on the same boat, on 2 different occasions, they'll want the jig a little closer or a little further back. So even trolling, if the same speed, you may want to even experiment with that. Don't be complacent and say, well, last week we caught them at 13 knots, and so that's what I'm going to do all day today. You might be driving around all day long not hooking anything. You might try speeding it up to 14, 15, or you might want to drop it back a little further or bring it up a little closer. So experiment with it is probably the best advice I can give you is don't be complacent. This is just from the customers that I have and what they've told me.
Yeah.
That on different occasions, they just want it to be different. It may be the same thing we were talking about earlier with talking about a hook bait versus, they're just in a different mood.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to change it up.
All right, SJ says Polaris Supreme Captain Aliar reported that 30-pound fly line and 120-gram dart-style jigs were working the best. Do you know what jig he's talking about?
He's talking about the Colt Sniper or the Zakana.
Yep.
Yeah, that dart jig is something that in the industry, that Point Wilson dart, which has kind of been around for forever. It's actually like a salmon jig, but same as a mega bait or any of these kind of like fish. Look, we might as well grab one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, smaller jigs like that.
And those 2 jigs, Sam's right. I've gotten the same info from some guys who've been fishing. Aliar's one of them. But other guys have been suggesting the Daiwa Sakana and the Colt Sniper have been good. 80 to like 120 grams. That's mostly daytime type fishing. That 30-pound fly line is daytime. At nighttime, I've heard a lot about knife jigs, and I've heard 250 grams working at night really, really well. So it sounds like they're getting some daytime fish as well as nighttime fish. Mm-hmm. And as we've mentioned, that bite really seems to be turning on again. And there are bluefin as close as 40 miles, maybe even closer than that. Sam.
So the jigs here, this is our 130 Zakana. That's the larger of them. Here's a 120 Colt Sniper. Now with the Colt Sniper, they actually had to change the name to Current Sniper. I actually don't have the official word on why.
There's some lawsuit or something?
I would imagine there was some copyright thing, but same jig. It's called Current Sniper. It says it back here, but here's a smaller one, 80 grams. So it seems like 80 gram to 120, 130 are the sizes. And I got one from Promar. This is their live deception, but this gives you a good idea of the general shape of them. Basically, a fish shape. You know, same as these guys here. They have an eyeball. And one of the things you want to do, and I think we talked about it in the last video at some point, is change out the hooks. The most common
On all
hook
those jigs?
on all, no problem. But once again, you never know.
Yeah, and that's what you prepare for,
Yeah,
the
you
big
never know.
fish, right?
Yeah, and so you'd want to put on there a size 7, 6 or 7 ultra split ring from Owner, and a size 1/0 Owner hook from Ultra, treble hook from Owner. In the ST66 would be probably the most common for that guy there.
All right, perfect. Abdul Fortana. I used to see you a lot here. It's good to see you back. Sam, met you at the gun and tackle swap meet. What's the quality spinning reel for yellowtail and smaller grade bluefin tuna? 123 people watching now, my friend.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
So as far as the yellowtail are concerned, honestly, there's a lot of options as well. I mean, we talked about these. I can have like a whole table full of these reels that would be good. Anywhere from a 4,000 to a 6,000 size reel. And if you're looking at, price point, I think you're going to be right in that little over $100 is going to be about right. Anything from a BG, a Daiwa to a BGMQ. I would look at the Daiwa for your sub $200 reels. It would be really, really good value there. Once you start getting up into a little bit higher price, the Shimano start coming in at a very good value as well.
Yeah.
They have their Saharas. I'm sorry, not the Saharas. The Saragosas. And Daiwa's going to have their Saltish reels and their Saltish MQs, things like that. You get in a $300 range. And really, the biggest thing I would take into consideration is how often you're going to use it. If you're only going to use it, once every couple months, that $150 to $200 reel is going to work just fine for yellowtail. If you thought you were going to have it on your own boat, and let's say you're just going to live on your boat, or you're going to use it every weekend, I'd probably step up into that $300 range reel, just because it has some pieces in there that make it last a little longer. Also, Penn has good reels. They have it in the Slammer. They have it in the a few other reels that they have there. The Spin Fisher has been around for a lot of years, and so just take your pick, and you're going to be in, like I said, that $100 to $300 range is where you want to sit at.
All right, perfect. We had over 130 people watching a second ago. Scott Buchert says we're in on the galley of the Old Glory right now. You want to say hi and good luck to all the people
Scott
on the Old Glory?
Buchert, good luck. All you guys, good luck. I know you're going to kill them. All signs are pointing to a really good day tomorrow.
Man, it's looking good.
In fact, I would say in the next 3 or 4 hours, you guys are probably going to be getting them. I mean, I don't know what time you guys are leaving, but I would say that that you're in good shape here. Look at Dan Burns sending us a picture. He thinks he's so cute. He caught us catching eating the taco.
Oh,
Thanks a lot, Dan Burns.
Dan,
Glad
so
you're
cute.
watching. I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here to entertain you, Dan Burns. If anybody knows Dan Burns, he's
Yes.
very easily entertained.
I know
It's a
Dan.
pretty low bar, but I'm here. I'm here for you, man.
Me too. Dan, anything you need, call Sam. Yeah. All right, let's see. Christopher Bailey, thank you guys. Tight lines. Tim Marquez, I'll check out the International 30 Macaira when I pick up my reels from you. Dave Maestro sent hello to Tim and Joel Lopez. Seen the Taddy TLC jigs with single hook. Curious to know how effective they are.
Yeah, those are jigs that were have been popular for a long time from Taddy. They have the TLC. They have a BA. They have a Taddy 9, a 4.0 with a single hook that primarily are used for sea bass fishing if they're that white color with the red squiggle.
Yeah.
But a few years back, that TLC became real popular fishing Cortez and even San Clemente. It was basically a smaller, you can go get it. It's a smaller yo-yo jig.
All right, perfect. And that gives me a chance to plug a couple of trips because Jason Lawler, who is the great and awesome chef on board the Amigo, they're trying to get out Friday night to have a 2-day trip. They're at 22nd Street Landing in San Pedro, and they need a few more people to make it and go. So you can give them a call at 310-832-8304 and Pegasus. Fisherman's Landing, San Diego, 1-day trip. Departing tomorrow night from Fisherman's. I'm guessing that's going to be a really good trip, as I'm hoping that all you guys who are watching us now and departing from San Diego, yeah, a lot of you guys are getting out or at the receiver. Wishing you the best of luck. Sam.
So there's TLC. So this is a TLC right here. Small jig, as you can see, small in my hand there.
Yeah.
Here's a TLC. That's a single hook one here. So that's the one we're talking about, the sea bass there. It's got a glow back, red S on it. Stands for Sam, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, why not?
So here's a 4.0, kind of more of a standard size. And one of the things we used to always talk about is, which is the right one. And basically, if you're fishing, let's say that 40 to 60 feet of water and a little bit of current, you'd use something like this for sea bass fishing. And there are times where, that sea bass, although I haven't heard about it too much in the last year or so, but we'd get it in the deeper water, 150 feet, something like that on the sea bass. And there's a lot of current. You just needed a heavier jig for them. So that was the way to go. But the TLC, like I said, was kind of a hot jig here a couple years ago for fishing yellowtail at actually all the islands really, but they wanted a smaller jig. So once again, we always talk about, what's the best jig or something like that, is having a variety. This would be definitely the smallest jig I would think you would need for yellowtail fishing, but I know a lot of guys have caught a lot of yellowtail with that guy.
Oh, heck yeah.
It's a little one.
Yeah.
It's a heavy jig though, so you can cast it, sink it out. It's a pretty good jig.
That's got to be good for snagging up a cod too, right?
Could be. Yeah,
for
I'm sure.
A bacache or something like that.
Albacore.
For sure. Albacore. Droopy's Fishing Channel. He says those single hooks are great for releasing barracuda like fast.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, more of those fixed single hook jigs, the ones that are more the barracuda style ones, definitely make it easier. You just grab the jig, turn it upside down, and shake it off.
Travis Bright wants to know if Monster is a sponsor yet. No, but
not yet.
That's coming up. Jason Lawler saying hello again. Hot Sauce Fishing. Hey Sam, do you think my Daiwa BG MQ 20,000 is it spinning reel can handle 100+ pound tuna? I have it spooled with 80-pound Power Pro Max Quattro.
Definitely will handle it, but you're also, once you get into this big tuna on spinning gear, you just can't use a rail unless you're using Joe Russo's, contraption there.
And that kind of works, right?
Yeah, that would work. Yeah, if you're on a private boat, you don't have rod holders like that on a party boat. But yeah, it would definitely handle it. You're going to be in for a tussle. The 100-pound tuna will pull hard on any gear, no matter what. And the spinning gear is definitely going to be a little bit more challenging, but definitely the reel will handle it.
Are we still in the whole taboo for
100%?
fishing?
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
That's-
We're working on it. It's a little chip. You're chipping away at it little by little.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got. I don't know when I'm going to go, but you got to go fishing and just use all spinning gear.
Let's do it. That would be fun.
I think it would.
Yeah.
I know it is fun. I've done it before. It is fun.
Yeah, I'd be all over that. All right, and Q Ball says Macaira, Yep, or Abbott.
Yep.
JC, Sam, any change you may stock some of the Wiggle Riders and Daiwa TGs? Those were killer on my 3-day Intrepid trip last week.
You like the wiggle rider, huh?
Yeah, I love the Wiggle Rider. Scott and I have a thing about those.
So those are those knife jigs there. Gosh, I can't remember the brand right now, but it's a jig from overseas. I think they only sell them overseas on like eBay or something like that. And that TJ jig, is it TG? TGs, yeah, those are tungsten jigs from Daiwa. Those are also overseas only. They're
They are.
Yeah, it's a heavier, smaller jig. I've had some guys ask me about those, but those are Japan only products, so you'd have to go on eBay or something like that to get those.
All right, yeah, Scott bought a bunch of that stuff. He was in Japan recently. And
Oh, okay.
He got a whole bunch of that stuff. Jason, again, inviting you all to join him on the Amigo 2-day trip leaving Friday night, 22nd Street Landing. Steve Bermudez, you guys need some cartoon characters.
We are already cartoon
Yeah,
characters.
we already are. That's Dan Burns.
Yeah.
Or, hey, Bocanegra. How do you rate the Penn International 16 visits?
I rate it very highly.
Perfect.
Very,
That's a
very
good
nice
answer.
reel. Yeah.
Nice. We have a ton of questions here. And still well over 100 people watching. Started the show 2 hours ago. And thanks to you, you're showing no signs of slowing down. And Sam and I are all in with you all. All right. Steve Bermudez, marching along the bottom
yeah.
of the screen.
That would be kind of cool.
Oh, yeah, that is a good idea.
I don't know how you do that,
Yeah,
but
we'll figure it
AI,
out, man.
AI will do it.
We get a little bit bigger budget, then we'll figure it out. Steve Bermudez during the commercial breaks. That's a good idea, Steve. Cue ball. That's how they do it in Australia. Kingfish or yellowtail.
I think those knife jigs.
Yeah. Christopher Navarro. Phil and Sam, I am. I have a Talica 16.2 question. Mine is loaded with 80-pound Max Quattro. What is the heaviest top shot line you'd fish on it?
60 pound. 60 pound. You could probably fish 80 on it, but I think you have some bigger reels, Chris, for 80 pound. But one of the questions I always ask people when they ask me a question like that is I'll ask them a question back is, where does it fall in your lineup? So you want to use that reel where it falls in your lineup. So if that was your biggest reel, then I would probably put 80 on it as my biggest top shot. But I think you got some bigger reels, and so I'd probably nestle it in right around 60 pound or even 50 pound if you have another reel that's a little bit bigger. But I would say 50 or 60 pound.
Dave Clark says he's caught several yellowtail on flat falls and 250-gram SKs.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Dave Maestro. I was on a trip last year, and Captain Matt Brala was smacking those decent kelp patty yellows last year. I'm reading like a moron all of a sudden. On the Thunderbird. He was using a speed jigging setup with 150 to 200-gram jigs.
They work 100%. I think if we can get guys to use those knife jigs for yellowtail,
Yeah.
that would really, really take it off, because then we take off, that whole thing with the knife jigging, because a yellowtail is a local species. That
Yeah.
bluefin, obviously, we always want to catch bluefin, but yellowtail, if we could make it happen with those knife jigs, I think guys would get
Somebody
on it.
asked me that the other day, can you, and I'm like, I don't know, I like old style, I like but then I started thinking about, why wouldn't they bite that?
I'm sure they would.
Yeah, right?
I'm sure they would.
Yeah, so that's another good one. All right, and by the way, Sam, we're getting several people here that said when you were way over there, they could hear you.
All right.
So don't go take a leak or
man.
something with your mic on.
Well,
because
I was afraid I was going to say something, but I'm
really?
going to watch it now.
Under your breath?
I could turn it off here, yeah.
All right, Tim Marquez. Go, oh, you lucky guy, going to Laredo in 2
Awesome,
weeks.
awesome.
I'll try the knife jig and see what happens. Tim, I can tell you, my friend Andrew
Gonna
Deal
work.
is there. Really good yellowtail fishing going on right now. They're having the time of their life, so the weather was beautiful. Laredo, have you been there?
I have not.
It's a beautiful town.
Andrew's the guy that does that Freedom Boat thing or whatever?
No, Andrew Deal, I don't know if you know him. He may have come in here before, but he's a different guy.
Oh, a different guy.
Yeah. And he's down there fishing, having a great time. All right, Steve Nyes, you better stay on that treadmill a little longer tomorrow morning if you keep eating those tacos, Sam. Me too.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you
That's
go on the
easy.
treadmill? Do you do
Every
a
morning,
treadmill?
yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you do the incline?
Yep. I do like one of those program things where you hit the program and it does incline and speeds up, slows down, the whole thing.
That's great. That's great. Okay, Jorge Bocanegra, owner, 3X treble, is what replace all my hooks on all my lures.
4X, if you can get them, the ST66 4X, that's the one we saw a lot of. That 3X is a really, really good hook too, definitely an upgrade. But if you get that 4X, it's one step better.
All right, perfect. And everybody, again, saying they could hear you loud and clear when you were back there screwing around. Dan Smith, hit that like button, folks. Hit that thing like a hyper sardine. I love it, Dan. Thank you so much. Folks, we're almost to 100 likes. We deeply appreciate it. Still 112 people watching us.
Nice.
After a couple hours, that's great. 115 now. And Sam, another great show tonight. And we owe it all to these people, right?
Yeah.
Definitely. Are you planning on going home anytime soon?
No, they all know.
We need somebody to send some more food, right?
We're running out, yeah.
Yeah, really. All right.
Dan Burns can send it.
Yeah, Dan, come on, man. Hugo Jin says this is a 5-star show.
5 out of 100 or what?
Yeah. Hugo, gracias. Mil gracias, hermano. Nelson DG. Sam, do you sell the Pen Slammer for 4500 DX? And is this reel good for yellowtail?
Yeah, we do sell that reel. The DX is the dealer exclusive series. It's a really nice reel that has a couple features over the regular slammer. And yeah, we sell that one. 4500 would be a great size for yellowtail. Yeah, really, really nice reel.
All right, very good. Charles Zimmer, hey, Chuck, did you get a hold of my son, Patrick? You can let us know here. For the upcoming Derby, Sam, can you recommend a gear setup and a bait they could use?
So I know we were talking about it yesterday a little bit as far as the different rules and the species. I guess it's 5 species.
It's going to be halibut, yellowfin croaker, spotfin croaker, corvina,
Perch.
and surf perch or
Surf
bar
perch.
perch.
Yeah. So the way that they have the rules set up, it almost seems like you got to try to fish for perch for sure.
Yeah.
So on those perch, for me around here, I would think that camel sandworm is going to be your main deal. If you can dig up some sand crabs, and if you got a beach that has good sand crabs, probably fish some of those. Some of your
Sandworms.
famous worms. You go
Yeah.
down, you can get some for me.
Yeah, I will. I'll take care of that for you.
But that'd be on the perch. I know that up north, I don't know how far north guys are. That's another question. I don't know how far north you could fish.
You can fish any
Anywhere.
place you want. So yeah, as long as you sign in here the
Yeah, I
morning
mean,
of, or
I don't know what kind of reports you get from those guys up in Morro Bay, but I know they catch some monster
they
perch up
kill
there.
them up there. Yeah.
So I don't know,
I was
that'd be a
thinking
little
about
secret,
popping
yeah.
across the border and going down
Even
to
then, yeah.
yeah.
I know up there those guys will fish whole anchovies, or cut anchovies, but they're whole. They cut them down, frozen anchovies for those perch up there.
Yeah.
They use lucky crafts. They
Yep.
use, you get into the metal jigs like your crocodiles and things
Right.
like that. But locally,
Cast
I would
masters.
say that camel sandwich is probably your best bet. And then you can't go wrong with the lucky craft for the halibut, part of it. I don't know if anybody's going to catch 5 legal halibut. That'd be pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But you got to at
get
least
one or
try
two,
for one
or-
or two.
yeah.
You probably pretty good chance you'll win that division, I would think.
I would
So
think.
that's where I would start as far as your baits are concerned.
Sam, some of the biggest barred perch I've caught come on the Lucky Craft.
Yeah,
Believe it or not.
when they're that big,
Yeah.
they're eating bait fish in the surf. They're eating grunion and all that kind of stuff. So that Lucky Craft might be a good choice for that. And then as far as a rod and reel, you're looking at like a 2,500 size reel, whatever brand. I think they're all pretty much the same size. And an 8 to 9 foot salmon steelhead rod is the category you're looking
Yep.
for. Something rated 6 to 12 or 8 to 17 are the 2 line sizes that you're going to find most common. So that's what I get into. Some 20-pound braid if you're going to be fishing with those Lucky Crafts. Not that you need heavy line because the fish are so big, but then those things are a little bit pricey. And so that 20-pound braid with a short leader, maybe 15-pound leader, 12-pound leader, fluorocarbon is going to be the way to go to target the halibut. So
And
that's the point is there, yeah.
Spot fin croaker are bait biters. They
Yeah.
don't like lures. So, of course, this guy comes from, where was he working? He might have been working at Bass Pro Shops. I can't remember his name. He shows up to Surfside this morning, and he's got this crocodile that's this big. And I'm looking at it, and I'm going, do I let him fish with it, or do I talk to
Yeah,
him?
yeah.
And so I go, hey, you might want to drop that down to a little smaller. And he's, okay, whatever.
you, yeah.
He,
Old
he,
man.
he takes, yeah. he snags this freaking spot fin croaker that is so big, and he's looking at me. You tried to get me to change that. Yeah. So, oh my God, it just like.
Did you have it in the morning briefing? Oh, it was after.
Yeah, this was after the
Oh,
morning
man.
briefing. I would have definitely put it on there with Dan Burns. I'm waiting for Dan Burns to dance behind me someday.
He's coming right down, I'm sure.
Oh my, he might. Don't tempt him, please. Well, we're going to be off the air in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Tony, you guys are doing great. Phil and Sam, Steve Bermudez, don't know what you did, but when you hit something with that chick bag, the video is blurry. Sorry about that. I don't know what to say. Is it blurry?
No, I mean, it looks good to me. I don't know.
Yeah. We could be a little drop in the Wi-Fi, Steve, or something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. We apologize.
A chick
Jig-
bag?
Yeah. Oh, jig bag, right?
Oh, jig bag maybe, yeah.
I just read it too.
Yeah.
Like, we must have had a chick bag out here at some point.
I
You have a
didn't see
pink
her.
bag around it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Israel, is that a tablet Sam has? If so, put a fishing video on it. That way you guys can enjoy your dinner. Yeah, we
That'd
could
be a
just
good video than watching us watch a video.
be funny, right?
It'd be easier.
Oh my God, yeah, no kidding. Dude Aramis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great show. Thank you, my friend. Love these in-store showings. Yeah, it was a great idea, wasn't it? Do you think the Ink Vaders by Mustad might work for Bluefin this year?
I don't see why not. I mean, can't put anything past anybody anymore with this bluefin, but I haven't heard of anybody trying them. I can't say they wouldn't work in that respect, but give it a shot. You never know.
Tim Marquez says, that's what Mark showed me today.
Ah, okay.
Current Jam. Hi, guys. Sam has mentioned 80-pound braid being his top choice. What if you can only get 300 yards of it on your reel? Would you opt for a lighter line to get more yards? Good question.
Yeah, if that reel only holds 300 yards of 80, then yeah, put smaller line on it or get a bigger reel, I guess, to hold more line. But yeah, I mean, and once again, like I was saying before, depending on your application, you may not even need 300 yards if you're fishing structure, shallow, something like that, where you don't need a lot of line. So it really comes with, a little bit of a qualifier as far as what you're needing it for. You know, obviously we've been talking bluefin, 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 you know, here for the last, you know, couple years. So we're kind of have that on the mind. But
Yeah.
but depending on what you're doing, you may or may not need that much line.
All right, Steve Bermudez, you better hide those dairy farm milk carton crates. LAPD is coming for them.
That's a given to me.
Yeah, oh, the LAPD again? Yeah. Hey, Steve, butt out. Rick Slater, Phil needs a taco box, not a tackle box. What fish makes the best fish tacos?
That's what I'm gonna have to answer now. Island fishing tacos.
Yeah, really? Yeah. I'm going to say the best fish taco. That's rock
Rockfish?
cod of all
Yeah, yeah.
different kinds.
I'd say
right?
rockfish, yeah.
Yeah. So good, right?
Or bass.
Bass.
Yeah,
are
yeah.
great.
Calico bass.
White
yeah.
sea bass.
White sea bass, yeah.
You know what makes great is those dumb yellowfin croaker in the surf.
I'm sure they would.
They're really good.
Yeah, I know for when I used to do a lot of surf fishing down there in Redondo, guys used to take those home. At first I was like, I don't know about that. Because anything with the word croaker in it, you think,
Yeah, right.
you think that
You're
white
gonna
croaker.
be poisoned or
yeah,
something.
but it's not. It's a different croaker.
Yeah.
And those guys love it. They say it pretty much tastes like white sea bass. It's
It
really,
does.
really good.
It
yeah.
totally does.
Yeah.
Yeah. The front of our house there in Surfside a few times looked like a commercial fishing thing. Eddie Leland's out there, and there's like 40 yellowfin croaker. He's out there filleting. I'm cooking fish tacos inside. And yeah, they're really, really, really good. All right, Steve Bermudez, can't see it to a close-up video. Okay. Current jam, would you recommend an inline hook with a current sniper?
Yeah, we used to do that a lot where we put a single inline hook on there. It had a little bit larger eye. Let me show you what that. It had a little bit larger eye, and so it made it easier, especially if you're going to put a split ring through it. But you know, we used to kind of stay away from the treble hooks, thinking that, you know, with tuna fishing, you know, in the past we always, you know, said a treble hook's, you know, no good for tuna.
Right.
You know, but so we went with single hooks. Everything that was a tuna jig had a single hook. But these inline hooks, you know, they have a larger eye, so you can put a split ring through it. Well, now after a couple years, it seems like we've changed our mind on that and are going back to treble hooks. Not because they make better treble hooks now, but because we've now discovered that they work just fine, and those owner 1.0s seem to really be the right answer on those small jigs that we were talking about in the 4X ST66. So that's kind of what I would look for. But yeah, in the past we used those, and I'm sure they'll still work fine most of the time. But that's the reason we've gone with these trebles, is that we found that they work pretty dang good.
All right, perfect. We just hit 100 likes, 106 people watching. Don't forget to hit the share button, you guys, and share these videos with somebody you know that loves to fish. I know they're going to enjoy Sam. He is the best. All right, Mark. Hey, Sam. I picked up a couple 133 or 130 small size Mad Max. What type of knot and like would you recommend at the connection point? What kind of knot would you recommend at the connection point? For example, straight San Diego jam with mono, or does it need a swivel?
Probably doesn't need a swivel. I mean, if it's spinning around, it's probably not swimming right. But I'd probably tie a 100-pound and, yeah, just a San Diego jam knot to that. I think that'd be pretty good. That smaller size is probably going to be, I would say, even good right now with this kind of medium tuna around. Would probably be something I'd have in the water for sure. But, yeah, just a regular San Diego knot and that 100-pound mono would be fine.
Excellent. Hey, I can see the end of the questions. If I read fast and you answer, you might be able to see Diego and Luna tonight.
More tacos.
Who knows? Yeah, really. Sam, more tacos. What's wrong with you guys? Carlos Mosqueda. Hey, guys, question for Sam. I plan on fishing 130-pound hollow braid on my heavy rail rod this year for the first time. In your opinion, what is the best connection knot for braid to leader?
The best connection is a hollow connection. You know, if you have had the chance to learn how to do that, that's the way I would do it. I use a nail knot type of connection, and I think we did that a little bit on the video. It's kind of hard to really show that, but we may need to come back to that.
We got to come back.
Yeah.
Because I was like going insane on that for some
like,
reason.
what are you doing? Yeah. So it's definitely a multi-step thing, and so that's what I would be, consider the best connection. Now you may be asking about something you would do on the boat, and if you had the space and the tools to do it, you could definitely do it on the boat. I do it all the time on my trips. But if you're not comfortable or you haven't had a chance to explore that, just a Tony Pena or an Albright knot or a RP knot or something like that, whatever you have learned, it would be good. There's probably 9 or 10 different knots that have been rated more than good here in the last couple years. FG not. I mean, there's so many of them now, but nothing that I would consider to be better than the other one. Probably the one you know how to tie best is what I would recommend.
The one you
but
got most confidence in?
most confidence
Yeah.
in, yeah.
Abraham Asfar says, Sam, my buddy gave me an old school Shimano TLD 30. It looks like maybe 15 to 20 years old. Still in good shape, but is that strong enough for the BFT?
Definitely on the lighter side. You know, it's a reel that's about maybe in between, maybe about this size, a little wider. Holds enough line. I think it'll hold like 500 yards of 80 pound, if not even more, maybe 500 yards of 100. And the drags on it are a little bit light in comparison to the newer style reels. But you know, in the late 80s, early 90s, that was the reel of choice
Yeah, it
when we
was.
had the bluefin back then, and caught lots of 100 to 150 pound bluefin back then. So yeah, I think it'll handle it. You know, make it part of your arsenal. If you have the opportunity to get a newer, more modern, bigger reel, I would still recommend that. But I would consider that reel to be in the same size, more or less, of a Talica 25. Not quite as much drag, but about the same size. The one thing you could do to it as a small upgrade is put a Tiburon handle on it. You can put that big, giant Tiburon handle, so it might give you a little more torque. But overall, the reel is a pretty dang good reel and holds enough line. So I'd say go for it.
Greg Bates is joining us. Greg, you're number one. Greg is a great guy. Helps us all the time. He cooks at a lot of the events. He cooked at the Santa Ana River Lakes
Oh,
thing.
nice.
And he brought, man, and I've forgotten all about this. I did a taste test, and I didn't put it up. He brought these sausages. I'm not going to even tell you what the results were. I'll put them up tomorrow. No, they were yellowfin tuna sausages.
Oh, really?
4 of them for 49 cents.
Huh. Where do you
And
get
he
those
cooked
from?
them up, and we got 4 or 5 guys to come over, including yours truly, to test these. And then he had yellowfin tuna patties, like hamburger patties, and they were 2 nice big patties for 49 cents.
Huh.
And so tomorrow, since I've forgotten all about it, I'll put those taste tests. What's your prediction? What do you think? Most people are going to say they're great, or
I don't know. I guess
49 cents, right?
I don't know
mean,
about the 49 cents is a little bit shaky, but that is something that I have had on the Royal Star. The ones from Fisherman's Processing,
Yeah,
those yellowfin tuna patties, they're pretty dang good.
yeah, I'm sure.
I don't think these are the same ones. I don't think it's selling for 49 cents.
Yeah.
But the ones I had were pretty good, so I don't know.
Don't miss that taste test tomorrow. And don't miss Robin Yoshihira and Stephen Cull. They'll be on, of course, from the Constitution and what's the other boat down there? The Constitution's that Robin's on. Oh, my God, I've forgotten. You don't know, do you? You weren't there today. It's my
Yeah,
fault.
yeah.
I'll figure it out, everybody. Tomorrow, great podcast with those two. Their boyfriend, girlfriend, and I pinned them down and I said, when are the wedding bells? And you'll see their answer
Wow.
tomorrow. So,
Big reveal.
yeah. So anyway, back to Greg. He says, hi, Phil, Sam. Question on what fish are best for tacos that was asked. Any fish will work. Okay, not mackerel. Rockfish for sure. Any bass? Yep. These are the most popular. Tuna's also great. It's all about the fixins.
Yep.
To
I'd
some
say
degree,
so,
that's
yeah.
right. I've had yellowfin tuna tacos.
What did they have on there at the club that one night? They had
Oh,
fish tacos. Of
yeah.
some sort, but I think it was like yellowfin or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was.
It was
and
pretty dang
They
good.
had that the other night too. You were there
Okay.
that night, but when Bill came, Wilkerson, they had fish tacos
Yeah,
again.
pretty
and I
good.
think it was tuna. Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, it was. In fact, it was tuna and
Yeah,
yellowtail,
yeah.
those 2 species. So you're right. Thank you, Greg. California saltwater fishing. That's a great guy by the name of Paul Fanning from California Saltwater Fishing. Check his channel out for rockfish. Which hook is better, J hook or circle hook? Any size that works best for you. So what's good rockfish tackle? I mean, we should talk about that.
Yeah. You know, I know the commercial guys use that Easy Baiter hook, which is a long shanked, actually circle hook.
Yeah.
You know, we actually have those. It's I think a size 10-0, but it's not like a 10-0 like a big tuna hook. It's about pretty small, but that's a good hook. But I would say just a regular J hook. One of the things I would recommend is getting into like those salmon style hooks where with the bent eye, not necessarily because of the bent eye, but those are like a smaller gauge wire.
Yeah.
So the smaller gauge wire hooks for sure, especially when you're fishing that deep water, those fish kind of got to hook themselves. So you get a hook that's too fat, too thick, you might find that the fish won't penetrate and you don't get a good hook set. So whatever hook you're using, I would probably recommend a J hook of some sort, and then using a somewhat smaller diameter, not like a freshwater size hook, but a little smaller diameter if you had to choose.
All right, very good. Albert Ponce, on our last trip to Bahia de Los Angeles, the Ponga captain had a knife jig and kept yo-yoing, got bit every single time. More than live bait or any other jig we had. Big yellows all day on the knife jigs.
Yeah, for sure.
There's the evidence right there, right?
I'm positive.
Thank you, Albert. Christopher Navarro, I see some guys saying these knife jigs work for speed jigging. They definitely do. I've been speed jigging butterfly jigs for like 15 years, and Yellowtail love them. You should give them a try.
They do, yeah. Chris was actually on a trip. Me and him kind of like started fishing on the Royal Star about 15 years ago, and yeah, he was one of the first guys I ever saw using that butterfly style knife jig type
He's
thing.
way ahead of the curve. Huh?
Yeah, he was definitely out there for sure. As far as trying something new. And I will tell you, I remember, we did one of those trips. It was a trip that we used to do in like May, June time.
Yeah.
Early 8-day trips. Me and him used to do them because they're back in the day. They were like a cheaper price per day.
Yeah.
So it was really, really good value, and really good fishing too. So I remember one trip we went down there. We got getting down to the rocks, Alejo's rocks, and he had 2 fish on the boat before the boat was like fully anchored up.
Chris did?
Yeah,
Nice,
on the
Chris.
knife jig. So. I was like, wow, I guess it does work, man, and I put it down after he did. He's like, hey, give it a try. And I caught one. I'm like, this stuff really works, so I'm a true believer. That stuff does work on the Yellowtail for sure.
All right, Chris, thanks for that. The Tops Hooked on the Show format. Keep it up. I asked about a CalStar in the previous Tackle Shop show. What's a good comp for an 800H?
A good comparison, or?
Yeah, I guess.
Well, you're probably looking at something in the range of a 30 to 60 pound, like we were mentioning earlier for those sea bass. But yeah, any other brands have them. United Composites has 3 or 4 of them. They have it in the Towelfish, in a Monster, they got probably 5 or 6 of them, different ones. I know Seeker has a 30 to 60, 6480 heavy, something like that would be good. And then all the other brands like Daiwa, Shimano, they all have a 30 to 60. So any of those 8-foot, 30 to 60 pound rods that you'd see in our shop here would be pretty dang good.
All right, hit that like button and make sure you share these videos. Subscribe. We deeply appreciate all of you watching here this evening. Christopher Martinez says, "Hola, tackle junkies."
That's it.
Jorge Bocanegra, what can you tell me about the micro jigs 10-1?
I'm not sure of the 10-1 part of it. That might be a new brand, but if you're talking about those small jigs that guys are using for fishing for spotted bay bass, it's been a super hot category.
Was that the one you gave me?
Yeah, that's one of them, right?
Yeah.
So these things are tiny, and when they first started coming out, I almost thought it was kind of like a joke, because it looks like
Because they're so small?
so little. Yeah, I'm like, man, what's gonna eat those? But yeah, they are little. Here's a little 10 grammer here. Here's a little 20 grammer. And that's kind of almost the size range that's the most popular that we sell the most is that 10 to 20 gram. These are a couple from Submission Fishing. We sell a ton of these guys here. They're like 10 bucks a piece. But man, they work. I haven't had a chance, that we were talking about it last week. It kind of makes me want to go fishing, how successful these things are at fishing that spotted bay bass. But when you look at it, it looks like just like a tiny little, a torpedo sinker.
It's crazy.
Don't look like much to it, but I don't know. It works a lot. I'm not sure if that's exactly what you're asking about, but these micro jigs really do work.
Hey, kicker jigs, Berkeley
Andrews.
Berkeley Andrews.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, but he's no longer with them?
No,
He got rid of it, right?
I think he works for Seakeeper. That company that does those gyros for the boats to keep them stable. Seakeeper.
Right. Yeah. All right. Finally, it came to me, right? Mr. 05 STI. Thank you, Sam, for such great inventory. Bought my 2 UC rail rods from you back in 2020.
Nice.
Great stuff here. Top guy to go for UC rods, hand downs. That's
Thanks.
you.
Thank you very much, man.
Charles Zimmer, Sam, you should do a knot clinic at your shop in the future since you have nothing else to do.
Got to learn how to tie some. That's all.
Yeah, that's me. Jorge Bocanegra, what can you tell me about all right, we already got that one. Cue ball. You're in the fight, LOL. Gerald Perilous. Good to see you, Gerald. He's turned in late, but great show. I'm glad to see you here. Better late than never. I've caught a 211-pound bluefin on a TLD 30 on a CalStar troll pole. Took me 3 hours, but I landed it.
It's doable.
Yeah,
it's
that's
a battle.
that's a hell of a battle, isn't
Yeah.
it? Steve Bermudez, what are the rules for that surf fishing tournament post that? We're still refining
that
that,
out, yeah.
Steve. It'll be
Making
ready.
them up as we go
It'll
along.
be so the tournament starts the 19th of May.
19th
We'll
Friday.
have that finalized May 18th,
Yeah.
right? No,
Pretty,
we'll
pretty
get it ahead.
straightforward, I think, though. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, there's a couple rules that you got to follow so that, you know, try to make sure that it's fair for everybody.
That's exactly
But
what
the
we're
main thing, I think, is you got to check in on that first morning. You got to go to a shop and check in.
That's right. And
Yeah.
then you pick up your measuring device. and
Yeah.
So everybody has the same measuring device because you're trying to guard against somebody going out
Yeah.
2 days in advance and
Yeah.
stacking up. Like some crook that would go to Mexico like me. Man, we got this thing won. It hasn't even started yet. All right. Greg Sheridan. Thank you for your input, Sam. Looking forward to the morning briefing,
it right
Phil.
there. About
Have a
20 more
great night.
minutes.
I know. Yeah, Greg, that's in like 2 hours. I got to get some sleep. Joe Sirwell. Greg, thanks, man. You have no idea how much I appreciate it. Joe Sirwell. Joe, good to see you, man. Sam, I recently purchased a Makira 15-2 and was wondering what size braid and then what size rod would you pair it with? You guys are killing it again tonight. Great job, guys. Sam.
That's it, man.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 80-pound braid for sure. 80-pound, you get about 400 to 450 yards. As far as a rod, something rated like, I would say, you know, 50 to 100, 40 to 100, depending on the brand that you're going to get. If I had to choose one rod, I'd probably choose that United Composites Centaur would be a good one. Even this Taipan, they have that 50 to 100 would be really nice. In the Phoenix rods, they have a couple in that 40 to 100 that would be really nice as well. You know, we got about 5 or 6 different rods that would work really good. So just a matter of choosing one that you like there that we have.
Sam, 2 questions left.
Oh, man.
You know that somebody might add one, but right now, one is an observation. Phil, Sam, you guys need to build a couple of racks in the back, like on the boats, so you can sleep comfortably. Great show. And Manny says, great show, guys. Manny is one of our greatest supporters, always there. In fact, he donated the Penfathom that we just raffled off at Santa Ana River.
wow, that's
Lake.
pretty
So
cool.
Manny's a great guy. What do you think, man?
So one thing I want to mention to you guys here, and I've been thinking about it the whole show, and I hope we didn't lose too many guys waiting for it, but
103 people.
there is something coming up that we need to talk about a little bit.
Yeah.
The CCA
There you go. Yeah.
barbecue. It's gonna be put on March 20th, midday or so. It's a fundraiser for
Is it
for
March 20th or
sorry,
May?
May 20th.
Yeah.
Already passed. Yeah, too late. But May 20th at the Compton Rod and Gun Club. You can look on the CCA website and get some more particulars about the exact times. But we are looking for guys to sign up for that. There's going to be a few opportunities for companies to sign up, or taco shops, or anybody to buy out a table. It's a fundraiser. There's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be barbecue. There's going to be raffles. There's going to be auctions. If we can talk you into it, maybe provide some alcohol and good times. I think they're going to have a seminar or two. But above all, it's something that I think you guys need to really think about as far as trying to get involved in. With what's going on now with the 30 by 30 initiative.
That's very scary.
That's a big deal. I talk about AI being scary. This 30 by 30 is a much bigger concern. What basically is starting to happen is something that is probably never going to go away. I was talking to Randy Penny this morning about it, and this kind of effort is always going to be there. There's always going to be guys that are in their efforts to try to stop us from fishing, for lack of a better way to say it. And it's up to us as fishermen, as stewards of this industry and the fishery, to try to push back a little bit, So sometimes
they're going to run us over.
Yeah, and it's going to be happening a little bit at a time, So sometimes we look at it and we've gotten used to things. So MLPA was a huge deal. They kind of ran us over on that one for sure.
Yep.
And for some guys that maybe weren't fishing at the time, they don't even know what that was and how big of a failure that was for us. But this 30 by 30 is even a further step in the same direction. and this is going to keep going forever and ever. It's always going to be a battle back and forth, and it's not any animosity. I'm pretty sure on that side they have their reasons as to why they think that they're doing the right thing. But as a fisherman, you know that we are not the culprits of having this fishery or this resource being depleted in
Hurting
any
the
way.
environment in
We're not
any way.
hurting it in any way,
Right.
and so I get it. I get it. There's always two sides to everything, but if we don't realize that now and try to really kind of step up and just have our voice heard.
Yes.
No one's asking to march on Washington or break down buildings or nothing like that. We're not trying to cause a ruckus. All we're trying to do is to show those that are in power that we do care, that this is something that is of concern to us. So I really urge you guys to get involved. We'll put some more stuff up. I'm sure Phil's gonna repost it and we'll do some more
Sure,
stuff on it.
absolutely.
And I really encourage you guys to at least find out what it's about. And participate in this this barbecue function that's going to be happening on May 20th. And you're going to start hearing more about it. We had a meeting about it last night, and everybody was on board about getting the word out. So if you see it come up on your feed, repost it, share it, talk to your friends, talk to your family, and just participate. It's a good time no matter what. It's a small investment for a very, very big cause. I was talking earlier about Diego being a big, source of motivation for me to make this happen, the shop. Now he's a big motivation for me to get involved in these kinds of initiatives and fight back so that he can have fishing, and I don't know how many of you guys out there have kids and are hoping or grandkids that want to have fishing available to them like how we have. You need to go out there and support, so I don't want to get too preachy about this, but if we don't fight for it and it gets taken away, it's pretty much our fault.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
We have no one to blame for ourselves. And so I really urge you guys to get involved. And if you want to find out any more about it, come down to the shop or go onto the CCA website. We'll post some links on it. I'm sure Phil can do that pretty easily.
I'll do that in the morning, for sure.
And we would really want to get involved, guys.
Yeah, good stuff, Sam, for sure. Now there's more questions.
All right. I knew it.
You screwed up, man. I'm only kidding. That's something that has to be said and is so very important. Joe says, great show. Thanks again, Manny. Great show. Patrick Maloney sounds like a good Irish guy. Should I strip the 65 Spectra off my Pin Slammer 3 7500 and replace it with 80-pound hollow core? I'm fishing on an 8 Proteus 65 to 100-pound rod with mad scads, poppers, pencil plugs for bluefin and yellowtail.
Yeah, I would probably put some 80-pound. I don't think you have to have hollow on there for any reason, but 80-pound would probably be what I would want to have on that reel for sure for what you're trying to target.
All right, very good. Brandon wants to know if the show is over. This is the most people I've ever seen here. It's not over yet.
We're gaining weight. It's like 4 of us now, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right?
After these tacos.
People from Missouri riding us.
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool.
That's bitchin'. All right, then not quite, Brandon. We'll let you know when it's over. Normally it's over when we say good night. We'll see you tomorrow or next week. That's when it's over. Tony, Tony says, I just wanted to say thank you, Phil and Sam, for taking the time every week to do this. You are the best, always on the dot with all the info. Tony, thank you, man.
Thank you,
really
man.
appreciate it.
It's all about if those guys didn't show up, we wouldn't keep doing it.
Yeah, exactly. We
sure.
really, really appreciate that. Charles Zimmer, I'll chip in on an island tackle table. There you are.
Right, I'm going to have 2 tables, so you just take over one, I'll take over the other.
Uh-oh, the Redondo Rod and Gun Club has
Step
their
up,
own
man.
table.
Step up.
That's a good one. Tim Marquez says, me too.
Let's do it.
What's your guys' opinion on El Nino and what it's going to do to our fishing? You want me to?
Yeah, elaborate.
I mean, who knows? Because this is the time of the year. There's an El Nino watch that they're pretty, but there's this springtime air mode where this is when everything can go haywire. So right now it looks like we're going to have an El Nino. Assuming we're going to have an El Nino and it manifests itself in late summer, we should see Dorado, yellowfin tuna, who knows, maybe some who to get close to the border. Sometimes they get up into our neck of the woods. We should see tropical and subtropical species. Some more marlin probably. Every once in a while you'll even see like a blue get up here, blue marlin, stuff like that. Short-billed spearfish down out of San Diego, bite the jigs when you're trolling for algae sometime. So we got this cold water right now. I assume we're going to have kind of that yellowtail, bluefin bite in that cooler water now, maybe an albacore, and then it should be followed by warm water stuff. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I can kind of see just from how much cold water there is, it seems like it would take forever to warm up. But nature is one of those things we maybe don't have such a handle on as we think we do. But it's going to do what it does. I think that to me, if I had to put a prediction on it, I would say we'd have a kind of a little bit later warming trend, but it's going to go right into the fall. And so the only thing I could say is it's probably going to be a later season altogether, with it being really, really good in that July, August, September, and probably going right into October for sure. So should be a nice long season.
All right, perfect. That sounds good with a lot of variety, right?
Variety for sure. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, variety and then just staying power.
Yes.
We're going to have a lot of trips. So if you guys are booking trips, and I would look all the way out to October for sure. 'Cause I know some trips are even hard to get on now.
Yeah.
Especially when this tuna shows up, it's going to be almost impossible. But look out on those schedules and try to get on trips. I think it should be okay. October, maybe even in November, should still be good.
Yeah, heck yeah. And that tuna really does look like it could go on the bite. This weekend should be a good one. Weather's good. Fish are close.
Yeah.
40 miles from Point Loma, we're hearing
Well,
about
also
fish.
when it's closer, you don't have to really venture out in that wind.
That's right.
That wind makes it hard because you got to go 100 miles, and so you got to go through 100 miles in windy weather. When you only have to go, 30, 40 miles, it's not as bad. You can sometimes kind of hide from that weather, so that's pretty nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Brandon, the corpse. Think Phil Jr. Sam, question mark, was interviewing from the CCA, and he was saying they are putting more and more regulations on us. Is there anyone in California government who will protect us for fishing?
That's us.
That's us.
That's
yeah.
us.
And here's my opinion. Politicians are basically self-interested. So they go like this. They see which way the wind is blowing. If you get a campaign of letter writing and saying, hey, we're not the bad guys here. We're trying to take care of the environment. Not only that,
Right.
we're a voting bloc here. And we're not going to vote for you unless you help us out here.
I mean, it's simple economics. We have this event. Let's just say we have this event. Okay, it's going to be May 20th.
Yeah.
We get, let's say, on a good day, we'd have 250 people, right? That's cool. The other side has 2,500 people.
Yep.
So as a politician, you got to listen to the majority.
That's right.
That's what their job is to do. So it's not really sometimes the politicians. It's us. We have to stand up and show that we do care.
Yep.
So when we do this event, LA chapter, is putting on this event, 18 billion people that live here or whatever. We can't get 200 people to show up. We're kind of doing it to ourselves.
Yeah.
So like I said, I don't want to sound too preachy about I know everybody's got things they got to do. It is a weekend. It's a Saturday. So, guys work. I work on Saturday too. So, I mean, I know it's tough and family obligations and things like that. But we have to show up. We have to show that we mean business. And politicians do at least look. And if they look and they say, 100 people showed up, I mean, it's not going to be on their radar.
No, right.
So that's the main deal. We got to be there. We got to support. We got to put forth the money, kind of put our money where our mouth is, type of thing, and make sure that we are supporting this situation. So, I mean, that's as much as I could say. If you show up, then I know that you're serious about what you're asking.
Absolutely. Hey, Joe says everybody should start saying where they're watching from. He says, I'm watching from Santa Cruz.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is cool. I think that's a good idea. Hopeful for Wahoo again, says Mr. 05. Brandon says, that was crazy. Those Wahoo were right off the rigs.
That's pretty awesome.
We're off Cortez Bank also. Fishing is life. Good name. Should I run 300-pound wind-on leader or 200-pound for night jigging on my trip on Friday? Also, what type of jigs should I bring?
200 or 300 pounds should be fine either way. I haven't really seen a whole bunch of the 200-pounders kind of being caught quite yet, but could be any day. Once again, like I said before, you want to take as much tackle as is reasonable. So 200 or 300-pound would be fine. If it was me, I probably would have one of each. And if I only had one, I'd probably take the 300-pound. And as far as your jigs, anywhere from 150 gram to 500 gram. I mean, the whole gamut. You saw that jig bag we were showing earlier, and that's got everything from 150 to 500 gram jigs. Probably most of them are going to be in the 200 to 300 gram. Seems to be kind of like the hot ticket at the moment.
Yeah.
But you want to take a variety, everything from 150 to 500.
All right, perfect. Let's see. Dan Smith says, you know what? To heck with those racks. You guys should just go down to the beach and sleep on the beach. You're ready for the morning briefing.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Deuteramus says 2020 don't want to end up like islands down south and our beaches in San Diego.
Right. As far as the closures.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
Yeah, yeah. That's
it's
for sure.
brutal.
Yeah.
Joe says, we also elect these people, so please vote wisely. Do your research. Absolutely. Jorge Bocanegra watching from Lake Forest.
That's cool.
Mr. 05 watching from Riverside. Brandon watching from Lakewood, California. Clayton, Altadena, California. Man, that's a pretty good reach, isn't it?
That's pretty cool.
That is. Anybody watching from a foreign country, we get that all the time too. Brandon says, hey, Sam and Phil, I didn't make it to the fishing shows this year. Did Promar come out with, how come I can't see that? Can
Any
you see
cool
it?
stuff for lobster fishing? I know both of you were there, curious on the new stuff. I don't think anything new for lobster fishing that I saw.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
No.
Yeah. Is that the last question?
That's, yeah, watching from Temecula, Chewy and SoCal.
Wow. Okay. Is it? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
very good. Are we done?
That's it, man. I think Izzy had a question about Battle of the Chapters.
Yeah, Israel.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, we were checking about that yesterday too. I got to check on the dates, but yeah, if I'm available, I'm definitely going to be going. It's also a fundraiser. A couple of the boats donate a couple trips, and so the different chapters, kind of like one fishes on one boat. You know, LA chapter. I think they're fishing out of Redondo, and then like they'll have Orange County chapter, San Diego chapter. They all fish out of their own region.
Yeah.
And they have like a fishing derby.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
Fishing Life. Have you heard how the Old Glory has been doing on the bluefin? I don't know that he's been out that much, but he's got Scott Buchert on board tonight.
Oh, man.
So they're going to kill him.
It's gonna kill him.
Buchert's going to catch limits.
100%.
Yes, for
They're
sure.
probably catching them already.
Sam, why don't you tell everybody how they can find you here while I walk over here and let you sign off, my friend. Great show.
You got it, man.
Great job.
We are in Carson, California, 21809 Avalon Boulevard. We're open 6 days a week, 10 to 6. Phone number is, I remember it now, 707, 310 area code, 707-1205, guys. Thank you very much. And once again, Diego, Luna, good night. You're probably already asleep. Hopefully you are. Adriana, love you, and I'll see you guys in a little bit.
All right, Abraham saying great job. Dan Smith saying great job. And Sam and I thank you all so very much. Had to be one of our most watched shows ever. Take care, my friends, and we'll see you again next week. Good night, Steve. Thank you.